亲爱的朋友们，大家好，大家晚上好。
Hello everyone, a very good
好，
evening to
今天
all.
呢，咱们再聊一聊面相的一些
Today,
知识啊。
let's talk a little bit more
对，
about
昨天
face
咱
reading.
们给大家唠叨了一下关于面相中这个额头的这个部分哈。
Yesterday we
这
talked
个你看
about
一
the
个小小的
forehead.
额头哈，就是有这么多的内容。其实细讲的话，可能有180种内容。
Actually, if we
只是
talk
说
about it
呢，
in
我
details,
们
there
在
are a lot
研究这
more.
个相学的当中的玄的部分，就是很有细节的代表性的部分呢。事实上就是，其实很多人还没有这个研究得很透彻。
Actually, people are not very
没有研究很透
detailed
彻，
learned
就像
about
我
the
来说，
face
就是
reading.
知道个大
Just
概。
like myself, I only know in a very generic way,
对我来说，
not a
相学
very,
呢，
not a
一直是
very
吸引着我。
detailed part of it.
但是
So
我
that
呢，
is
就
something
是
that
一
is
知
very
半解的
mysterious
啊，
and
觉得不清。
profound, and I'm very intrigued
但
by
是也
it.
想说，大家也喜欢这个
But I
这
know
样的一
that
种
you are
知识，
interested
这样的
to
话
know a lot more
就
about
和大家
this.
这样沟
So
通聊
that's
一
why
聊。
we decided to
那
have
么
these
所有的朋友
sessions
呢，
to
如果你有
discuss
相
in
关的问
details.
题呢，也可以问我。
And if you have
如果
relevant
说算命
questions, you
说
can ask
明
me.
年命相怎么样，明年的命运如何啊，这些呢哈，
If
或
you
者是我
want
来
to
参
ask
加
about next
啊，
year, or
6
want to
月份的
ask
参加
about
好不好，
next year
或者
June
12
to
月份
move
结
house,
婚好不
or
好，
is it
你
good
可以
to get
出
married
一
in
签，
December, what
那
you
他
can
都
do
通常比
is
较灵
to
啊，
look for a
用你的真
divine
诚期
Lord.
抽签也是比
And
较
if
灵
you are
的
very
啊。
sincere, the divine Lord will be
所以
able
这
to
个面
point you
相
to the
这
right
个知识
directions.
啊是非常
But
广
for
博的。
face reading, it
它
is
既有
very
它
broad
是
and wide,
就是固有的叫形的部分
because there are certain
啊，
part
比如说你这
about
个
the
额
form.
头，
For
或者
example, the
说是不
forehead.
是开阔呀，比
Is
较
your
宽
forehead
呀，
very wide,
还是凸起呀，
or is it
还是
protruding,
洼下去呀，还
or
是像
is
一个丘陵地一
or
样
it's
高
not, or
低
is
起
it
伏
like
不平
a
啊，
little hills,
啊，气色
or it
呀，
is what about the
有没有
color?
伤疤呀，
Are there
啊，有没有那个
some
地方有
injuries
某
and
些皱
some,
纹呢？
or
你看皱纹
is
和
there
皱纹都不
some
一样，额头的皱纹，
wrinkles?
也这个包括印堂的皱纹，这两眉之间的皱纹，每个人都不一样。
Everyone
你
is
细看的话就像
different.
长相一
So
样，
if you
它
look
是
at
完全不同的。
look at it in details,
它完全不同的话呢，这样它的意义所代表的意义
and
就
as
是
a
有了差
result,
别。
that's different.
所以呢，那你有些问题呢，也可以
So if you have
说一
some
说
questions, you can
与
ask
相
as
相
well.
关的问题哈。
Because
你
anything
想
relating to
你不
face
让多
reading,
看的部分呢，你照那个局部是可以的。
you don't have to look at it
啊，
in
像昨
overall
天
view,
说
you can look at it
有
from
这个
parts.
额头有受伤的
Like yesterday, we
啊，
talked
那我就
about
提
people who
示，
have
那受伤额
injuries
头
at the
你说
forehead.
区域不大，其实这个受伤的科的正前方和
If
侧
it's
边
at the
它就意义
forehead
不同。
and the side, it will
你
be
磕到额
different.
头上和磕到眉毛上又不一样，
And if it's at
眉
the
毛还分磕到哪一段，
eyebrow, it
是
is
横
also
的
different.
磕的还是是竖的磕的，
Is it vertical
有
or
不
is it
同的。
horizontal?
所以它就这么多精细的部分啊。
So it is actually very
对，
minute and
如果你
very
想提供一
detailed.
些讯息呢，想跟我聊的话呢，
If you want to gain insight
那就
and
要
you
发
want to
些图片
discuss with me,
啊。
you can
比
send
如
with
说
me
敏
some
感地区的
pictures.
朋友呢，说为了大家都方便的话，你就不要发这种
But
图
if
片
you
了，
are
好
in
吧？
from
你
places
可
that's a
以
bit
用卡通图
sensitive,
像
we
把它
can
画也
use the
可以，好
cartoon
吧？
to draw it out. You don't have to give me the actual
如果
picture.
想，对，想给我看这些东西呢，还有些内容可能，就需要我们可能这样对话语音沟通
Some of them maybe
啊。
we
比
need
如
to
说
communicate
接受了你的
verbally
讯息之后，
so that we
我
can
想跟你
understand a little bit better
讨
about
论一下一
yourself,
些相关的事情。对，那你呢
so
要
that
跟
we
他说
can
实话，
discuss a bit more about
否则
your
的话
fate
你
and
给我
fortune.
来
But
聊
you
这个
must
天
tell
呢
me
就
the
没有
truth.
意义了，会
Otherwise,
让我
it
判断
defeats the
错误。
purpose.
你不要
The
想着我是
judgment
个
would
神
not be
人，我
correct.
一看你的这个讯息，我知道你的一切，这个真是还不一样，我没那么神。很多事情需要我们沟通一
A
下，
lot of time we do need to communicate
对，
before I
可
can
能
make
会更
an
好一些。
assessment.
所以
That would
呢，
be
你呢跟我
better.
沟通也要实在一点，
So
真
when
诚
you
一
want
些
to
哈。
communicate
你
with
有啥
me,
说啥，
you also need to be more
实话实
sincere
说。
and you want to
因为
be
我
more
们还是
straightforward
在最终的目的
and
还
try not
是
to
希望
hide the
能给
informations
大家
because
带来一些启
ultimately
发，
we
或者
hope to
解
be
决一
able to
些
bring you
不吉
some
祥的问题。
benefits,
像昨天我就遇
especially
到
for
有
those who
一
have
有
misfortunes.
几
You
位
want
那
to
个
know
相
one.
学上来说
Like
是
yesterday,
有一些
a
坎
few
坷的哈，
say
有问
that
题的，
some of the
是甚至
questions
是我
are a
说
little
的
bit
语
more
气比较重，
misfortune. And I know that I'm
我
quite
只是从
serious
我
in
所
my
知的
tone.
相学当中那么讲，
And that's because based
所以
on what
再
I
次声
understand,
明
that's why
哈，
I say that
所
to
以我
you.
不会说 我喜欢你，我就说你好，明
I
明
will
不
not
好，我也
say
说你
that you are
好。
good
那
just
我
because I like
讨
you.
厌你，
Or
好
if
也
I
是不
dislike
好。
you,
我们
I
不会这样
will
做事，
say
不会这
something
样
bad
做
about
人。
you. No,
我
that's
会比
not
较
my
直来直
style.
去。
I'll be
但
pretty
只是呢，我
straightforward
可能
with
会有
you.
保留的说，
But
非
maybe
常
I
极
may
大的恶意，
reserve
我
some
这
of
样
the
告
things
诉
I
你之后，你
say
可能受不了。
because if
这
there's
样我
something
会
very
嘴下
dramatic,
留
if I were
情，
to say that to
会有
you
保留
outright,
的，
you may
不敢
not
说
be able
太
to
重。
accept it.
但
So
是
I
我的
will
语气
moderate
较
my
重的时
tone.
候，你也需要小心一点。
But if my tone is more
但也有人
serious, you
说，
want
你
to be
看，
careful.
你说，比如说2、3年，他可能会遇到一
Some
些
people
灾
may
难不
say that in
好
the
的。
next 2-3
你看，
years, the person may
现
have
在
some
4、5年过去
misfortune.
了，灾
And
难
then
不是也
now,
没
4 or
出来
5
吗？
years later, there's
这
no
是不准的，
misfortune. That
这个
is
就太好了。我宁
inaccurate.
可我看不准。
Well, I
宁可
rather
像我
I'm
就是学艺不精。
inaccurate. I hope
你
that
没有灾
I
难，
lack
不就开心了？
enough
那你有灾难，
masteries
当然
and
如果
I
灾难大就是要
misread
命，
the
小的还
misfortune.
受伤。但哪一个灾难都不是开玩笑的，
But all
所以我们不希
misfortunes
望你有
are
灾
not
难。但
small
这个部分
matters.
我宁可我是看错了。
Personally, I hope that
啊，
everything for you is
说不定
good.
当然也
So
许
I
就是
hope
说
that
你
my
祖
reading
上有
was
德，
wrong.
你
Or
自
I
己
hope
可能
that
也
your
很会做
ancestors
事。
have
这
done
个
a
灾
lot of
难
good deeds.
给
Or
他
for
就大事
yourself,
化小，
you have
小事
done
化无了，
adequate
这不是很好
merits
吗？
to transform
我
the
们就怕的是
misfortune
说，
to something
比如
good.
说过2年你就死
But
了，
what I'm
比如过
afraid
2年
that
你真
2
死
years
了，这个
later, you
他不是
actually
个玩
die.
笑。
That's
他
not a
人死了之
joke.
后，无论怎样来
Because
说，
once
都
a
是一个
person
很可
dies,
惜的事情
it is really a
所以我
sad
们希
thing,
望
a
大家
sad
都是
matter.
幸福快乐的。
So we do hope that everyone can be happy
嗯，
and live a good life.
所以现在有问题吗？如果
So
有
do
问
we
题
have
的话呢，
questions? If there are
我们也
questions,
可以聊一聊问题。如
we
果
can
没问题，
start
我
to
就会讲
chat.
知识哈。
Otherwise, I'll talk about
问
knowledge.
题有问题哈。
Kunti,
好
any
的，
question?
网友他叫 Molly Diana，
嗯，
他呢是说，
This is Diana.
自出生以来，
Hello, Master.
左眼外角下
From
方就有一颗
Bond,
痣，听说这个痣位于
the left
肋
eye
骨
is a
痛
mole.
处，位置不太吉利。
And I heard that the position is not too auspicious.
他也发了他的照片。
And she sent the photos of her.
嗯，对，他叫什么？
What's the name?
猫弟，
猫弟哈。
Maldives.
这位猫弟呢，他在这个左眼角下这个，
So yes, at the left eyes, below the left eyes.
我不知道这个算不算泪痕痣哈。
I'm not
这
sure if
个
it's like a tear mole.
这种颜色哈，就是不
But
是
such colors,
黑又亮的哈，
it
通
is
常不是
not
黑又亮
black
的
and
通常
bright.
就不是特别的正面的
It is not
啊，
very
这种是一个
positive.
痘痘一个痣哈。这个其实到有些时候，如果你想点的话，是可以放弃它，可以把它点
You
了个
can
皮
get rid of it
这
if you
个
like.
从对做事来说哈，
So
我不知道
in
他结
terms
婚
of
了没有哈。
working, I'm not sure if
如果
she's
就是
married.
他在这个左眼角
If at
颧
the
骨前方的
left
话呢，
eyes,
通常
below
有
the
痣
left
如果长
eyes,
得好的话，
close
其
to
实也是望
the
夫相。
cheekbones, if it's good, if it's at a good position,
对，
it
任何
is
东西也是
very
有失
prosperous
有
for
得
the
哈，
for the
有
husband.
望夫相。
So it is
但是
actually
呢
a good sign.
但是长在这个位置来说的
But
话呢，
in this
也是
position,
他的情绪哈，肝火还是比较偏
her
旺的。
emotions, she
对，
can
所以
to
要注意说话，
she has to be more careful
因
in her
为肝火
speech
偏旺。
because
因为
she
我看你
tend
的
to be
眼睛
more
的
heaty
气色它
and
不是很
I look
纯
at
啊，
the eyes, it's
眼
not
眼
very
白的部
pure.
分不白，眼
The
白发
white
青，
portion,
里
it is
头
not
有
really white,
其
there's
他
some
的
greenish
深
tone
深红色的
and
线。
there is deep
之前我们
red
讲过阎王爷
line. We did
那
talk
个叫
about the Lord
3把刀哈的时候，其中讲
the
到有
Lord
一个
Yama, one of
钩
the
子，在我
of
们这个
the
眼
three
角外侧这个
knife
眼白之中哈，
and one of
其
them
实就
is
有
to
点像那
have
个
this
小无
fine
细血管
like blood
那
vessel,
样明
thin
显，
blood
或
vessels
者
is
是说不清是什
visible
么颜色的一些
or you can't really
一
say what
些
exactly is the
眼白之中
color
的斑。
and there are some
那这
spots.
些呢也是比较明显的
These are all
这个
obvious
肝气较重。
and it represents
因
that
为我看他
the
那个眼
the
眼
liver
球
chi
哈，
is a
这
bit
个我也
strong.
不知是照相的原因怎样的，就是眼球稍稍有点凸，
I'm not
有
sure
点外
why,
凸。
but I
还
see
有他的
that the
脸的色
eyeball
呢
is a little
偏
bit
白
protruding
黄，白黄色呢，
and the
所
color
以
is
就
a
有点
bit
就是
reddish
火烤的
white.
烟熏色，就是我还是怀疑，他这个肝火偏旺的
And
人。
I suspect that the liver,
所以肝
there's
火
a
偏旺的
heatiness
人
at the
呢，也有
liver
旺夫相， 因为他做事急，
But
他
because
自己呢
she
也
is
会
very
比较
she's very
爱
short-tempered
做事的时
and
候
she
也很
like
认
to
真，就很
do
计较，
task
所以
and
呢
she's very serious in
就
her
是
work,
望上加
but she
望，
can be too
所以
petty
无论对自
sometimes.
己的事业
So
还
when
是
it's
对
like
于
that,
结了
it
婚
is
的
not
先生来
it
说，
is not
其
so
实都是
good
有
for
帮
her.
助的，这是正面的
It
哈。
does,
它
it
的
does
负
have some
面就是
positive
因为干
points
火旺，
because it will
通
help the
常就是
career
做事
as
情
well help
太
the husband
风风火火，脾气比较大，
because
脾
she
气
is
大呢就
more
会
she's
出
more of
口伤
action
人哈，
oriented.
就说话会
But
可
because
能
of
会比较
that,
重一
she
些
may
啊。
in her speech she may not be
那
so
这个就注意
mellowed.
你的情绪的这个把
So
握，
it's important for you to watch your emotion. You need to control your emotion.
她的这个眉毛还比较稀疏一些哈，
Her
眉毛稀
eyebrow
疏呢，就是就是
is a little
情
bit
感啊，
spread.
情感会淡漠一些，
So it
不
represents
像有
that
些
in
人
terms
呢，
of
就
relationships,
是每天他老
she's
大不
not
小了，可
so
能40、50岁还含情脉脉哈，就
she
是这
in
个
terms of relationship, she is not so
那种
attached to
呢，
it.
人的眉毛会比较弯，而且眉毛都是有的。
So for those in their 40s, they are
这
still
位
very
女士呢，
loving,
她这个眉
and
毛
usually
比较
that
淡，
can be
从照
shown
片
in
上
the
我看到她
eyebrow.
是有
The eyebrow
画
tend
眉
to
哈，
be
不知道有没有纹眉哈，
they will have the
画得
eyebrow
重， 但是
and
眉毛
the
不
hair
太
will be
明
quite
显哈，
refined
所以
and
她的
smooth.
这个
In her case, I'm not sure
兄弟
whether
姐
she
妹的
has
情感会比较淡薄，
in her case of eyebrow,
乃
her
至
relationship with
乃
her
至
siblings
是独生女都是有可能
it
的。
is not
但是因为
very
她这个眉毛
strong,
她
and she
有
could
画，
be
有画
a
眉毛哈，
single
也许
child.
有修，我就看不清
I
她这
can't really
个
tell because she may
这
have
个
done
兄弟缘
something
之
to
类
her
的东西
eyebrow,
啊。但是所
or
以
she
兄
may
弟缘
have.
兄弟姐妹缘也比较淡
But
薄，
from the look of it,
情
her
感
relationship with her
综
siblings
合
is
性
actually
情
not
感
very
也比
strong.
较淡薄。大概我说到这个部分，但是她之前因为得病的原因，她也是伤过元气，
But because she was sick before,
伤过
it
元气。
affected her
那所以她的
vitality.
这个婚姻姻缘呢，经营的也不会特别好，
And that's why
会
her
有一些
relationship and
令自
marriage
己很失
will
落的
not be
东
able
西。
to manage so well.
哎，人家问的是啥呀？
What's the question that she's asking?
就是那个痣嘛哈。
It's about her mole at the eyes.
因为这个颜色它不够，说比较正面的，所以通常呢，要么就是血红的点儿，是吧？
Well, because the color
要么就
is
黑有点。
not because
它这个
for
呢，
it for the mole
痣
to
不
be
太
good,
小，
it must be very
比
black or
像
very
芝麻粒
have
那么
some
大，但
red.
是它的颜色不是特别正。
But for her, the color is
通常还
not
是比较
so.
偏负面。
It is
如果
not so
能点
good
尽量
color.
点，
So
这就是
if you
我的
can
看
get rid
法。
of it, you should get rid of it. That's
她
my
的脸
view.
上呢，鼻梁上有些那个包啊，有的时候可能像女士，有
And the
些
nose.
是这种是脂肪粒。
Some there are some
通常
there are
脂肪粒
some
用那个小针尖哈，小
there are
手
like
点一
some
下，往
little
外挤一挤，就是里头一个
fatty bumps.
黄色的，其实像脂肪一样一挤就出来，是
Maybe
油
she
脂
can get rid
啊，
of
白
it.
色的。
It's
还有
white
的
in
是化
color.
妆那个粉哈，就是没洗掉，
And some could be
或者是
caused
抹那个
by
防晒霜啊、
the
防晒液
cosmetic
的，抹太多了没洗
or
掉，
have put
就
too
捂在那
much
儿使这个
excessive
你这
sunscreen
个
lotions,
汗
and
眼
it
儿
clog
堵住汗眼儿，就像
it
毛囊
causes
发炎一样
clots.
的这种，挤掉就可以了啊。
So you just need to get rid of it. Squeeze it out and get rid of it.
大概就说这么多吧哈，
感恩师傅。
Thank you, Master.
那我们再看下一位。
Shall we look
好。
at the next one?
对这个小姑娘，她的妈妈可能是发的，说她的妈妈叫咪咪 L，她说师傅，请您帮我看一下这个孩子
And
的
this is
面
a
相。
child, and say, this is a mom. Say, Master, can you help me to look at the child's? Do a face reading for the child.
昨天师傅，我们那个网上好像也是这一位网友有问他的孩子，
I think yesterday this lady also asked about the child.
哦，这他几个孩子了
How
啊？
many child?
这个可能就是第三个孩子吧。
This could be the third child.
昨天有问两个儿子的事情。
It's about 2 sons.
哦，他这个照片，反正我现在看到的也不是特别清楚啊。
Well, the
就
picture
是
is
有这个
not
轻微的
very
马赛
clear.
克，所以相学之中呢，你差了一点儿啊，那命运就不同了。
So
所
you just need to
以我
be
不知道他这个
slight
照
difference,
片
and then the life will
是
be
怎么
totally
回事儿。
different. I'm not sure what happened to the
因为我觉得
photos.
像那个，他有写吗？没写字儿吧？他这个，我不是他那个眉毛有磕破过吗？
Did she suffer some injuries before at her
所以你
eyebrow?
的照片一定提供的比较
So
清楚的
the
啊，
pictures you
要不
must
然我
tell
会说
me more
错。
details, otherwise
对，
I may read
就
wrongly.
是你凡是脸上啊，
Anything
就是
pertaining to
摔
the
伤啊、磕
face,
伤啊，
if
或
there
者
are
外
some
伤哈，都
injuries,
是不好的。
these are all bad.
在眉毛上磕了之后呢，就更不好。
Especially at the eyebrow, it's worse.
对，所以这个孩子，因为照片我看不太清楚，
Because I can't see
朦
very
胧的
clearly.
看，就是不是朦胧的看，就是看的就比较朦胧的照片。如果没有猜错的话呢，这个孩子呢，可能
If I guess
容易
correctly,
看到什么东西，
this child seems to
对
be
这人有
able
点
to see
看到一
something,
些啥啊，有点那样的敏感体
or
质
is a bit
啊，
sensitive body.
对，还有就有可能这个孩子会也出现，
Maybe this child,
如果看到照片上
if you
的
look
内
at the
容没
pictures,
有问题的话呢，那这个孩子有可能会容易出现多个妈妈，
the child may have multiple mother,
就不是一个妈，
so not the same
就会出
mom.
现这样的事儿哈。对，
对这位王母她补充说，这个是她妹妹的女儿。
So the person said that is actually the daughter of the sisters.
那对，如果这个照片大约是这样的话，就是他的体质实在不好，
So I think the
应该
body
叫
is
灵
quite
异体
weak.
质，他容易看到一些东西，
She can sense the
这些东西是邪气，
spirited world, and
是
these
这样
are evil energy.
他别的信息也不说呀，你不说
Well, she didn't share a lot
变成没
information.
有什么可讨论的
So
啊。
if you don't share a
那
lot
这
of
位网友
information,
在
there's very little we
接
can say. Is she
在
around?
线上，我们看一下哈，这个
Is she
网
around?
友，如果您在线上，可以打开麦克风，可以
If you
跟师
are,
傅
you
直
can
接
turn
沟
you
通。
can turn on the
这是
mic and you
在
can talk to Master
线上场
directly.
吗？
好，看他在不在。
Let's see whether she's around.
我这样说话听得到哈？
Can you hear
听得
me?
到哈？哦，对方掉线了。
The line has dropped.
说法吗？
通常情况下，眉龙骨比较高凸起，或者边缘上要隆起的话，
Usually,
就有点
the
像
bones at
那种照片上那个
at
猿
the
猴的那个眼睛周围的那个骨
at the
骼
eyebrow
像的
is
话
this
呢，
a bit more
会
protruding.
通常会就是它的能量比较足，
Usually, they represents they have
和
stronger
能做事儿还是两码
vitality.
事，但是它偏能量足，是这样。
就男孩跟女孩这个有区别吗，师傅？就是男孩子眉龙骨凸起和女孩子这样子的话，我们会。
我只能说个朦胧一点哈，
I can really
男
say
女相
very
是不同的
vaguely,
哈。
the guy and
就
girl
是
is
眉龙
different.
骨稍微凸起一点，男生好一些。
So for guy, it's better they have
女生
protruding
的
eyebrow
眉龙骨
bones.
凸起的话，就
For
是偏暴
ladies,
力，
it
就
is
个
not so
性
good.
可能会偏野蛮的男性一些
Maybe
啊。
their characters is
那对于
more
女性来说本身
boyish.
是不利的。
So that's
那
not
这
good
样
if
的
it's
话
a
就可能
lady.
容易克夫。
They may cause harm to the
这
husband.
是我的一个理解哈。
That's my
师
understanding.
傅，
Thank you, Master.
女性要是眉龙骨凸起的话，我们就学得温柔一点哈。好的，那个师傅，刚才那位师姐 Mindy 她又上线了。
So Lindy is back online again.
可以啊。
Can she
就聊一
speak?
下她那个
Yeah,
外
maybe
甥
she
女
can
哈。
speak about the niece.
好，她叫 Milly 是吧？
Millie?
要点一下吗？不需要点啊。
Hello， 师傅。
你好，你好。
Hello,
我怎么称呼你啊？告诉个性别也可以，告诉个姓也可以。
我是女的，我姓奉上，是师傅的弟子，奉上。
奉上哈。
My Dharma name is 奉上。
你的是外甥女的事情。
Can you talk about your niece?
她3岁的时候发高烧，
When she was 3 years
导致她的
old,
右脑烧坏了。
she has a high fever and
对，
affected
烧坏了，
the right
然
brain.
后就一直要吃药，
And she
然后
need to be on
医生说她的
medications.
脑电波很不稳定，
And the doctor
久久就
says
会发
that
作。
the brain wave is not very stable
上
and she
2个
has
星期
relapsed.
上2个月，她又
And
发高
2
烧，又抽筋，
months
急忙
ago,
送进医院。
she has
她好像
seizure
每
because she
次
has
发高
high
烧就
fever.
会这样子，
It
情
seems that
况
every
延
time
期
she
会
has
发
high
白，
fever,
这样子
she will go into that stage
很危险。
and into a very dangerous stage.
今年已经9岁了，
She's 9
师
already.
傅。她跟妈妈很不听话，叫她
She's
读书什么
she
她
doesn't
都
listen
不
to her mom.
到现在她医生说可能智力会比
And
普通年龄的少数
The doctor
年
says that intellectually she will not be able to catch up with her peers.
那这种就是我觉得能追求健康就可以了，就是
I
别
think
追
for a
求学
person
业
like her, if she
好
can
我
have
会
health,
告诉
is
她
good
是的
enough.
是的师傅
Try not to
从一个
pursue
上
to
来
have
说
to be
她
good
是
in the
脑给烧
studies.
坏了。
Because
从
for
我们来
her,
看的时候，
she
她
has
其实
she
有
has
那个邪
brain
气上身
damage,
啊。
and from how we look at it,
所以
there's
所以
these
她
evil
有
energies
没
on
有什
her.
么异常的表现
Does she
呢？
have any something weird
她眼
about
睛
her?
每次都没有神，然后一直
Well,
看着远方，
her
眼睛这
eyes
样
always
掉掉
gaze
的，看
far
远方。
away and doesn't
她
seem
有
to
没
be
有说过
focused.
说我看见啥了？
Did she ever say what she
没
have seen?
没有。
No, she didn't.
没有，她没说，可能不会表达吧。
Maybe she doesn't know how to
那对
express
她会说
herself.
话是吧？
她会了
Can she speak?
以前比较慢，现在
Yes.
会了，会了，会说华语了，会了。
Yeah, she can speak Mandarin now.
这个情况，这孩子也挺可怜的啊。
This is quite pitiful, this girl.
这么小就得这么重的病。
And she's such a young age. She has already has such a serious disease. Yes, the medication doesn't help her, and the doctors always have to add the dosage on
她
her.
这个是不是也会？
And this
她是不是也
affected
会吃那
her.
种激素类的药啊？
Does she take anything
会
like
就是激素料类那种医生给的那种
steroid
好像
medications?
是一直要长期吃。
Yes,
一直在
and she
加量
needs to
着
be on long-term
所以说不可以
medications,
停了
and the doctor have to increase the dosage because of
跟
conditions.
父母不听话，
And she
一直
doesn't
一直
listen
不
to her
听话
parents.
发高烧住医院，也不管他妈妈，不要给他擦身这样子。
And
一直
even
发
when
呆
she's
脑袋不知道想
hospitalized,
什么
she doesn't want the mom to help her clean her
她也许
body.
没想什么，
So she
反正
doesn't
就
know what
是
she's on her mind.
和
Maybe
她离她
she's
最
not
近的
listening
家人之
to
间，她的配合度几
anything.
乎是没有的。
In fact, she
大概
doesn't
就是这样。
cooperate with her family.
那就是智
对他
商的问题。
他看心情。
So it depends on her mood.
那这样的孩子，他的情绪还经常会不太好。
What about emotions? I think
对
emotionally
师
she's
傅
not very
他也是弟
stable.
子，我们也叫他叫凤贝，
Yes, she's also a disciple. Her name is Feng
宝
Bei.
贝的贝，我们只是念佛做功德给他，对
We
吗？师
just
傅
chant and then we just try to accumulate
对
merits
他
for
这个
her.
情况，这不知道什么原因哈。
We're not
造
exactly
成
sure
的
know
但
why
是我
caused
看
this,
到的和医学上的它是
but
不太一样。
what I see and what medically
，OK，
view
我
is
看到
quite
就是
different.
邪气上升。
I see that she has some evil energy
对
on her.
那这样子，那这个我们今天聊天之后哈，
So maybe after
在这一个
today's
礼
chat
拜
this week,
左右呢，我就开始呢加持这个小女
I
孩
will
哈。
try to bless
就
her.
谢谢感恩感恩
Gratitude to Master. Thank you,
对
Master.
那
我
她
会拍
前
比较明显的照片。
对她那个她也有这个灵魂出窍哈，就是说她这个。
好，
So
这
she also
魂不
needs
附体
to have
啊
her
对，这
spirit
个
to
我
be
会把
grounded.
她的
So what
给
I'll
她
do
安
is
魂
I will
啊
help her to ground her
好
spirit.
感
之
恩
后再为她消灾，
And after
再为
that,
她
I'll
开
help
智
her
慧，
to
好吧？
感恩师傅，
clear her
感恩师
calamities
傅，
and
感
let
恩，谢
her
谢你，
gain some wisdom.
谢谢你，
Thank you, Master.
好的，好的，行，那
感
我
恩师傅，
坤提觉得有问题吗？
Kunti, you have any questions?
师傅，就是这位师姐，她昨天也有发照片，孩子的照片来，请问师傅。
不是这个孩子呀。
对，是他的儿子。
是。
趁师姐
Yesterday, she has sent some photos about this girl.
有更深入的问题吗？关于您的孩子
Do you have any deeper questions pertaining to this child that you want to ask Master?
对对，
是
就是
吗？
都有疤。对，另外一个儿子也是，他最近一个照片，他的疤更深，好像一个 Nike 的血。
那么这两个孩子就是他的疤痕在额头上一
So
左一
the
右，
other
是吗？
one have a marking?
是
Yes,
师傅，
one
一左
of
一
them
右
has a left and one of them has a right
哎呦，
at the forehead. Injury at the
因
forehead.
为昨
我
天
以前
这个部分，我记得我讲的比较重。
I
因为
remember
我
I
看
said
到
something
感
quite
觉
seriously
哈
because what I
比较
saw,
重一些。
based on what I saw.
师傅以前我梦到你跟我说，我做了一次功德，我梦到你
Master,
跟我
I've
说
done the
你
good
来，
deeds.
那
I
然
remember
后
that
就
you
不
came
见
to my
了，有一
dream.
个女生，她就跟我说，你看这后面是一大的主业，这么大的地方是我们的，我们的主业很有钱。我不认识那女生，她是说，可是这个屋子他们放我一个人在这边死去，因为我中了一个奇怪的病，他们全家都搬走了，我们是很富有的，所以我知道她很怨。那个女生很怨，然后我就醒
That
起来，
this lady
我
came
就
to
毛
me
骨
and
悚
say
然，
that
我跑去问
this is
我
look at
家
this.
公，
This
就
is
是我
actually
的
belongs
先
to your
生的，
family. Your family is
就是
very
他们
rich.
张家的祖先嘛。
But look
我
what
就问
happens.
他，
They did
你
something
的
bad, and
祖
that's why
先
they
有没有
left
这
me
样
here.
子？他讲
When I
在
woke
中
up from
国
the dream,
是
I
很有
asked my
钱的，
husband,
对，很
and
有
my
钱，很
husband
多的稻田。
confirmed
对，
that
好像
yes,
是有趁
indeed,
一个病，我们
the
全家就
the
搬走。我
family
听
is
到
a
他爸爸
very
讲过，
is
我讲
a is
哦，
very
我就
wealthy.
心就
But
是
something
凉了，我就
happens,
觉
and
得
the
这
whole
个
family
女
moved.
生可能，我就问她的名字，
So I
一
asked her
直
for
挖
her
挖到
name,
中国那边给
and
我
I
一个名
found that
字，
it is in
然后我
China.
就一直有超度她，然后
And
一
I
直
tried
诵
to
经给她这
do
样
some
子。
merits
可
for
是
her, for
看来
this
好像
lady.
没什么帮，
But I think it
我
didn't
的
help
孩
a
子也
lot.
是这样子。
And that's why the child is like that.
就是从这个相上来看的话，这
Well,
些
from the face
对
reading,
对你的孩子都是不利的
these are all
啊，
very negative
因为左
aspect
边
for
一
the
个疤，
child
右边一个疤，
because
就
each
一个
one
孩子
have
一人一个疤，
each
一
one
个
have
是
对呀，
injury.
一
One
个
on
是
the
在右
left,
边，你先
eyebrow
你给我看的
at
是
the
右边
forehead.
的那个疤
One
的
is at the
啊，
right. You show me the
左
right
边的
side,
过后我也发了，可是没
but the
师
left
傅
one
下
I
线
also
了。
sent to Master.
哦左边的也发了，
嗯嗯
哎呀，
我应该是要一直做功德对吗，师傅？
I need to continue to
他
perform
这
merits, right?
个首先我承诺会帮你哈，
First, I promise I'll
那
help you.
么这个孩子有时候他都长这么大，第一个出生的相就是他
For
现有
this
的相
child,
貌，
She's already so
没
big,
人可以代替，
and
太容易
she's
改变。
born with this
但
facial
第二个
features.
磕
That's
这个
something that we
疤，
cannot
磕哪
change.
不好啊？你磕在身上没事，你磕在脸上就是
But
问
why
题。
is it that you have this
所以这
injury
个
at the
所以
face?
昨天我讲的
Then
比较
that is a
多，
problem.
像您这个孩子这
So
个
yesterday I
疤
say a
和
bit
祖
more.
宗之间的关系
And the
啊，我记得
relationship
说过，
with the
跟爷爷奶
ancestors.
奶那边
I
的
say
不单
that
纯的关系哈，
it is not a
有点
straightforward
混乱的
relationship
关
with the
系。
grandparents.
但是他们的一些行为，
But some of
他
their
们的行为
actions
可能触及到道德呀，或者
maybe
是
got to
伤害
do
呀之
with
类
that
的。
they have caused
所
some
以呢，
harms and
这
injuries
种
to
这个
others.
能量呢，也伤到了就是
And
你
as
的
a
孩子，
result,
也就是他的
the
孙子
negative
啊。
energies also affected the
对，
descendants.
所以你的孩子来说也是其中，因为祖业这个问题让他们吃亏的。
And as a
所以
result, the
这
kids
个
are
你这两个
affected.
孩子也得好好养，
And that's why
做工
they
作
are
才
scars.
行。我
So
说的
it
应
is
该你明白，对
important
吧？
that you have to continue to
明白。
perform merits. What I say, I
对，
hope you
我就
can
不能说再
understand.
重了啊，再重你听着不舒服了就啊。因为通常的相学呢，它是瞒不了
Usually
人
for
的
face
啊。
reading,
这
you
个
can't
相学
hide.
是很，如果看得准的话是挺厉害的。
If it's
它就有点
accurate,
像那个
it is
打开
like
一部电脑，
it is
打
like turn
造了哪
on
种
a
设备，
computer
就有那个零件在
and
那里，
they
大
have
概
all
就是
the
这样。
features.
所以这个相学也是这样子，你有这个相，就有这样的一种命
And
命
it is
运。
like that for the
还有
face
是有
reading.
很多涉
You
及到
have this
前
look,
世今生，
and a lot of
还
that
有
got
这
to
个
do
祖
with the
宗八
past
辈的一
life
些问题，
as well as the
在自己的
ancestors.
孩子在自己身上都有所体现啊。
And it will reflect on the child, on the
你这两个
descendants.
孩子额头不小，
If you look at
但是
these
呢，
two child, they
吃
have
亏就
quite a
吃
big
在额头
foreheads.
不小上头，因为它的比例结构不是特别好
But then, if
啊，
you look at the
好吧，
proportion,
就
it
更
is
加
not
的
so
凝聚，你自己
proportionate.
是明白的啊。
And I think I don't go to the details, but I think you
呃，
understand what I mean.
只能说，我先看到的是这个孩子的祖辈上的
All I
一些问题。
say is that I can see something to do with the
那
ancestor
你作为孩
problems.
子的母亲来说
And
的
if
话
you are the
呢，
mom,
反正多修行。
you should
如
cultivate
果
more.
你们家里不是特别缺钱的话，
If your
你
family
应该
is
到
doesn't
禅堂去做一些
doesn't
身体力行
doesn't
的，
need a lot of
为
money,
众生做一
I
些
think
服
you
务
should
的工
go
作。
to go
我
to
觉
the
得对你的
centers
孩子
and you should
应该是一
volunteer
个非
there.
常好的
I
一个
think
帮助。
it's very good for your child.
你是离哪个禅堂近呢？
Which center is
明月
closest
禅
to
堂
you?
我
It's
在做义
Mingyue.
工，做
I'm
推
already
广。
a volunteer
好的，太
at
好了
Mingyue
哈。
Center. That's good.
我就希望你呢，要好好的做真正的义工，
I hope that
好
you
吧？
be the true
好，
我觉得
volunteer.
会对你的孩子帮助巨
I
大。
think it will help your child.
好，
对，
收到师傅。
Thank you,
要不然
Master.
的话呢，就是说孩子的问
Otherwise,
题会
the
变得
child's
比你想的
problems
会重。
will magnified and be more serious than you think.
好
好，感恩
我
师父
会
感恩师父
帮你们，
I
好
will
吧？
help you.
受感恩
Thank you,
师父
Master.
感恩
好
感恩。
希望
谢谢
你提到的这3、4个孩子哈，
You
希望
mentioned
他们
about
都
these
是
3, 4
前途
kids,
无量
and I
啊，
hope
前
that
途
they
光明
have。a bright
啊
future.
收到
这个佛光普照他
The
们，保佑他们，好吧？
Buddha's light will illuminate
收
on
到
them,
感
让
恩师父。
你们的家人和子女
and their
越来越好。
families will be more auspicious.
收到感恩师
Thank you,
父。
Master.
好，谢谢你。
谢谢师父。
Thank
谢
you,
谢
Master.
哎呀，这人生不容易啊！
As you
这
can
没孩
see,
子想孩子
life is
啊，
tough.
来了孩子啊，这养着
You
养
want to
孩
have
子不容
child,
易。
and when
你不
you
知道
child
生的孩子
arrive,
是
when you
什
have a
么样。
baby, and then you don't really know how
我
the
也遇
baby
到
will
过
turn
一
out.
些，比如这个夫妻俩都特别能干，
I've also
又
encountered
聪
some
明又智慧
parents are
啊，
very capable.
对，
They are
有
very
才高
smart
八
and
斗的，
talented.
也都是那种高级知识分子。哎，有这2个夫妻俩这个都这么能的
They are
话，
so capable,
也有的
but
多
some
数
of
里头
them,
生的孩子啊，就比较聪明伶
there are
俐
some kids that
啊。
they are
比
as
如这
bright
个
as
父母
them.
读书都很厉害的话，
Like the
生的孩
parents
子读
are
书也很厉害。
academia,
但是
they are
有
very
少
good in
数
their
这个
studies, and the
非
kids will be
常
very
聪
good in
明杰出
studies.
的父母生的
But
孩
there
子
are also
反而
some of them,
确实不杰出
the kids are
啊，
not
就
so
是他的智
outstanding
商啊和普通人
in
都有些
terms
差别，
of the
就是不够那么
IQ.
好，就是就
They are
像
not
他
so
们说
talented. They
正
don't
正
have
得
that high
负
level
啊，
of
对，就是
intelligence.
互相给抵消了这个能量。我觉得还是与这个基因，那基因
I think it
靠
got to
什么
do
组
with
成
the
这个基因
DNA.
呢？
What
靠行
forms
为，
the DNA?
就是
It's
所谓
action.
恶业善业的行为，
It means good
产生了
karma
你
or
不同的
negative
基因
good
现
and
象，
bad karma.
最后变
It
成
will
了不同
reflect
的
that,
命相。
and it will becomes the fate of the child.
好，我看还有什么问题哈
Let me see if there's other questions.
有的师傅，这一位叫 Marie Tan 的 这位网友，他想请师傅看一下他的面相，从面相来看财运啊、经济状况或者是理财的运势方面。
This person would like to ask about the financial aspect, whether the person is able to manage the funds, money, and has a good fortune.
如果现在给我发的照片来说的话，这个财运现在是不理想。
Well, if you based on the pictures that you
财运
sent,
不理想啊。
right now,
不
in
太好
financially, it's not so good.
这就是我的答案。
So that's my answer.
如果可以注意什么呀？很难讲。他这个就是，如果你是一个财运比较大，也就是比较有福气哈。
If you're someone
你
with
财
good
运比较
fortune,
大，比如一般人可能存的钱，平均家庭不到100万。
maybe a
那
family will
你
have
这个
1
财运
million.
差的人可能比这样的人还要差。
Maybe
或者是
you're
没有
worse,
存
you
款，
not even
甚至
have
是
1 million,
借
or you
钱。
don't even have savings, or you need to borrow
还
money.
有的财运是这样，
There are
比如
some
说40岁以前
before 40,
顺风顺水
they are very fortunate.
什么投资啊、工
They
作
make
啊、生意
investments
哈，
and
就
in the
能赚一
business,
笔
they make huge
可
money.
能赚了1-2千万或者更多。
Maybe 10 millions or
但是
20
呢
millions.
但是呢，因为还是这个福气不够的
But
话，
because they
可能
lack
接下来就有新
the
的
good
投资。
fortunes, maybe they have
说
some
我已经赚了钱
investments.
了，
You
那
already
我
make
赚
the
了钱
money.
存在银行呢，就手就比较痒，
Well,
心也
you
更
invest in
痒。
the bank. You
总觉
invest the
得
money, you
说
put
这
the
个
money,
钱
park the
呢，
money in the bank.
因为江湖人都会讲，
But
钱
everybody
放
will
在
say
银
that
行
the
哈，
money,
它
if
不
you
是有
put
通
in the
货膨
bank,
胀这个事
there's
情吗？
inflations.
就是你的钱越放着，它
So
越
the
贬
more you
值。
put, the values
如
will
果你在银行
depreciate.
存了100万，那么
If you have
10
1
年之
million
后
in the
呢，这
bank,
你的
10
钱
years
就可能
later,
形同于70万
you
了，
may end up
就是
with
它的
only
价值就贬
700,000.
值
The
了。
value of money
那
depreciates.
么银行给的利息呢也
So
不
the
高，
interest that the
那
banks
所以的
give
话
is also not
就是
high.
说，那些投资的人就
As a
劝你呢，
result,
你
those who
说投
invest,
资
they will encourage
好了，
you
你现在
to
有
make
100万
to
啊，
invest.
结果一投
So
资，
say you have 1 million,
你
you
赶上倒霉
invest.
相哈，就是本来这个钱
So
钱
actually,
财运就比较弱的人
you
呢，
don't really have a lot
说
of
别人
money,
也
the
在这个
fate.
银行投了个
People
资，买了什
invest
么基金
and
呐、
then
什
they
么
buy
之
some
类的
mutual funds,
黄金的，
or they may invest in
那
some
人家
gold.
可能赚了钱，
Maybe people
也
make
许一年
invest,
赚了
they
10%，
invest and make
就够
money.
多了
Maybe
呀，
they have
那
10%
很厉害的
returns.
了哈，从100
That's
万
really very
变成
good.
年底就
So 1 million
110
at the end
万，
of
就这
year,
个
you
意
have
思。
1
那你呢，这
1.1
老兄
million.
弟投了2年之
But
后
for you,
100万变成70万，
after 2
就
years
倒
of
霉相。
investment,
但是
your
这个
1
还好，
million
不是
becomes
骗你的，就是
700,000.
他，就
Well,
是
but
你
this
要
is
投
not
资
too
特别
bad
倒霉，就
because
像
this
这
is
个，
this is
就是
not a
你的
scam.
本
When
来
you
还想说
invest, there
我
are
这
also
100
risks
万，
that you have
我
to
放
take.
它3年，
So if you
我至
put
少
this
变
1
成是
million for 3
130万
years,
这
you are
股，
expecting
结果没有涨，
1.3
它
million.
降了，
But you
这
didn't
就是运
increase in
气。 那
values,
这
you
个运气来自于
depreciate.
你的福
Why?
气，
This is
那福
because
气
of
来自于
fate.
功德，
And
就是
why
这
is
样。
it? That's because
对，
of the
所以功德不
merits,
够的话呢，
virtues. If
就
you
是
lack
有钱
virtues,
也变成
you have
就是
money,
成失
but
财，
money would not be
还
able
有
to hold the
从有
money.
钱变成没钱。
And from wealthy people
哎，
to
我们遇
to
到
be
过一些
someone who
故
is
事，
not
还有一
wealthy.
些
We have met some
比较著
people, we
名的
have
人
heard
士
some
哈。
stories, and
你看
even
有一
some
个这
very
个
famous people.
在我们的祖国，在中国
Well,
开那
there's
个火
someone
锅店啊，
in
他
China
名
who
下
is
和他合
who
作的可能有
has
上
hot
千家
pot.
火锅店，
Maybe he has more than
哎，
thousands of hot
所以他
pot
那个资产最
shops.
大的时候
So
啊，
at the point in time when
哎，
he's very
那个
rich,
只是说叫计算出来的资产
well,
啊，
the
就
calculated
是可能
assets
有100个亿人
maybe
民币啊。那最近这2年呢，因为一个小小的问题的一个问题，导致成现在他这些店一个都没有
you
了
may have hundreds,
啊。说不
more than
但
hundred of
没
millions
有
of dollars.
存款，多少亿的
But
存款，
recently, because
而
he
且
made a
还
wrong
欠银
investment,
行和一些
he
债
lost
主
his
的债，
money, and
至
he
少还
also
欠10个亿的债务。
owed money
那怎么
to the
办呢？
bank.
他也挺有决心，说没关系，我就继续开火锅店，说自己又
But
借
for
钱
him,
开了个火锅
he
店，
he
继
even
续
owed the
又
bank for
从一
1
个店
billion
开始在
RMB.
经营。当然现在也没那么
But he
火
want to
哈，
continue
只是
to
勉强吃
be
饭
in
的。
the hot pot business.
哎，
Now he
那我
barely
们
make
不要
ends meet.
也不需要分析说他这个为什么从这个有100个亿的资产就变成这亏损
So
到
we
负
may
资
not
产
want
呢？
to
欠债生
as we
活
may
了。
not want to
那
evaluate
我在
why
看
from
他的
10
相的时候，
billions
我说如果
of
他
assets,
多找一
he end
些
up
印
owing
象
the
大师
bank
给他看一
1
看哈，
billion.
稍稍指导一下。
Well, maybe if he sees some good feng shui masters or face reading master, he will be able to help to provide some guidance. I don't know
后来做了一
him.
件事情
So
做错
later,
了之后，
he
导
did
致就有
one
点像
thing
推那
wrong,
个什么牌似的哈，一个倒后面跟
and
着一
it
块
is like a
儿倒，
domino
啊，
effect.
这个
He
死得
lost
很惨。
everything.
哎，这就是在我们来看就是运气啊，
So how
福
we
气
look
是
at
不
it,
够的。
it's that he lacks good fortune.
所以呢，这个人呢，就是50多岁之前
So
就
before
是亿万富
50s,
豪，
the person
50
was
岁
a
以后
billionaire.
就是平
But
民，
after
就
50,
是这样。现在是
he's a
欠债经
commoner.
营啊，
And now
那债主
he
每天都有
is
人去找他，
he still
有的人
owed the
提着个
bank
锤子
money.
来，就
And
在旁
every
边
day
敲
you
他那个
have
铁轨线，
the
扛扛
mon-
下了他说别的一锤子砸到他
the
头
money
上去，
lender will come to
对吧？
him to ask for
有
money
的
back.
不是带真枪假枪来他跟前溜达，啊，因为有很多钱给你投资了，你现在大家都知道为什么也没砸他呢？他也血本无归啊。
Well, why is it that he owe people money but people don't try to?
饿得很瘦，拼命
What
找
happened to
工作
him
开
now?
火锅店，说
He
他
can't
这
even
个赔
survive
钱不是假
himself.
装的，是真赔了。
It is not fake. He
就说
really
为
lost
什么
money and he owed
他
the
都
bank
会说
money.
出一些投资当中某些错误，
Why
其实
he
就
makes
是
some investment
我觉得
mistakes.
是功德
But
福
if
气
you
是
ask
不
me
够
how
的，
I look at it,
就
it's
会这样
because he lacked good
啊。曾
fortune.
经的富豪，
He was
今天
once
身
a
无分
very
文，
rich
所以你都
billionaire,
很难想
and
象这件事
today
情。
he owned nothing. This is
所以
something that you cannot imagine.
像现在这个网上这位师姐所
So
说
like
的，
this, Dharma sister, what she shared,
我觉得她这个财务状况不太好，
I think she's
怎么
not
注意改
so
善呢？这个不是一朝一夕可以改
good
的
in terms
啊。
of fortune. Can you
嗯，
change
还有
overnight?
呢，如
No,
果
it's not
手里
possible.
有点钱的人哈，
And
如
people
果
who
你
have
不是
some money,
做一个大的经营的
if
话，
you are not
所以
having a
你
big
如果
business,
挣了这个钱，不管是挣了
it
1000
doesn't
还
matter
是
whether
1个
you
亿哈，
have
就
1
是说
billion
你
or
从你手里往外拿钱的
1,000.
时候，
Every
我觉得
time
一定要
when you
考虑
part
再
the
三呐，
money,
考虑再三，
you want to
是
think
多
twice
咨
or
询一些专
thrice.
家类的人还
You
是比较
try
有
to
好的
seek some
啊。
expert
对，
opinion.
要这个投资啊，要非常的谨慎。
Because if for
因为说实
investment,
话哈，
you want to be
世界上
very
最容易
careful.
的就是花钱，
Well, because it is
世界上
easy
最
to
难的
spend
事儿
money. What is the most
啊
difficult
就是
thing
赚
on
钱。
earth? It is
那也
to
有
spend
说法就
money.
是说，
What
世
is
界
the
上
most
赚钱呢是最容易的，那
difficult
都是
things
大
to do
上市
is
公
to
司
earn
的
money.
那些老板们一下弄来了很多钱哈，反正钱本来就不是自己的，他觉得容易。但是当倒霉的时候，几个
Actually,
亿、
some
几十
bosses
个
may
亿
feel
的
that
那
it's
些
very
人，
easy to earn
一
money.
旦倒霉起
But
来，一分
once
钱
you
都
have
留
bad
不住。
luck, you can't even
说
hold
赚
on
钱
any
其实是
money.
不容易的，
Actually,
按
to
照
make
长
money
期
is
持
not
有很多的
easy.
钱是难上加难。
If you want to be
就
able
像
to
很
hold
多
money
去
for the long time,
买那种
it is
彩
very
票哈，
difficult.
哪个国家都有那种彩票，
It
对不
is
对？
like buying
你
lottery.
像
Every
香
country
港
has
啊、那美
lottery.
国呀、加
If you
拿
look
大
at Hong
有些
Kong,
彩票它
Canada,
一次很
US,
大的，有社会福利彩票，买的时候并不贵，
when you
3-5
buy
块
the
钱，
lottery, it is like
你一
$3 or
张号，对不对？
$5 just for
最终呢，
tickets,
可能
lottery
1-2个
tickets.
月以后就对那个
And
号
maybe
码。
1
如
month
果
or
他
2
公
months
开宣布
later,
那个号
you
码你
match the
中了，
numbers
至少
and
都是
you
1000万
got
美
the
金，对不
numbers.
对？
You
一
may
下
end up
就
with
风
10
鸡变
million
凤
US
凰，
dollars.
是一下就发达了。
And suddenly you
但
become
是这种几率
wealthy.
太少，
But
但是这
such
种发达的
percentage is
人
very
没
low.
有，不是没
But
有
people
哈，
who
关键
make
是没有几个
wealth
能
through
够
this
好
way,
好的
very few
过一
of
个富
them
人的日子，
will be
能活
able
10
to
年以
enjoy
上，
the life of a
就
rich
会
man.
很惨。他们家人朋友全来分，最
Because
后
the
给
family
多少
members,
都
their
不公
friends
平，
will
最
come
后把他闹个气死。
to split the
最
amount.
终结果都是这样，
And it
还
end
生了
up
气之
to
后，天
have
天
a
去酗
not a
酒，
good ending.
他觉得看破人生了，就是喝酒嘛，麻痹自己。
So
我
what
的
they
心
do
情、
is
爱
that
情
they
全部
end
改
up
变了，
becomes
都是因为金钱
alcoholics
改变的。
to
那就
numb
喝酒，
themselves.
每天喝的酩酊大醉，最
Maybe
后
they will
身
be
体就
drunk
受了
every
伤，
day
也是
and
容易
it
去
cause
世啊。
harm to the body.
所以呢，这个财富的积累
And
啊，
that's
是
why
很艰难的事
the
情，
wealth
是不容
accumulation,
易的。
it is very difficult. It's not easy. Wealth accumulation is not easy.
好了，那我们
好，那师傅，我们看下一位网友的这个问题哈，这个叫阿彩，
Let's look at the next questions, Master 阿彩。
师傅说，我的儿子一出生就是缺氧，可能出生的时候缺氧，对，眼睛和脑部呢都有受到伤害。
Master, when my son is born, he was born, He lacks oxygen, and as a result, his eyes and his brain were affected.
寒暑假也会来禅堂做义工。可是7年前呢，他有发病，就医师诊断为思觉失调。
He came to the centers to become a
一
volunteer,
直以来断断续续被干扰。
but then he was diagnosed
精神
to
状况
have
不
some
稳定
sickness that's
最后
affecting
生活
his
给自己
his mental
睡觉
state.
魂。这个是应该是台湾的一位网友
This is someone from Taiwan,
阿彩。
Atai.
哦，这个照片上这个男生就是他说的人哈。
Well, the photo
他
is
的
the
儿子
son.
哈。
对，出生的时候。
关键出生的时候就缺氧，
So the
这下
problem
问题就
is
大了。
he lacks oxygen upon birth, and as a result, the brains and eyes were
看这
affected.
个人这一生哈，
So if you look at a
刚从出
person's
生的
life,
时候，
at the
甚至
moment
还在
of
娘胎的
birth,
时候就得病了，
or actually
就是这
when
样
he
的。
was in the womb,
这个是
already
出生的
sick.
时候得的病，
For him,
哎，
it was upon birth
不容
that
易
he
哈。
had this
所以在照片
sickness.
上来说，他这个
So from the
也
picture,
他是不是眼睛看东
did
西也
he
不太那么
did he
清
have
楚，
difficulties to see
很模
things?
糊哈。照片照
Yes,
的也
the
模糊，这
image
个
is
眼
very
睛眉毛
blurry.
这更
He
模
can't
糊
see
啊。
clearly.
嗯，
对，你看他出生的时候就不容易，上学又被霸凌。
And he was
小孩
bullied
子
in
不懂事
school.
嘛，小孩子不懂事的话呢，再一看他行为能力又弱，是不是啊？讲个故事都没听懂，不是人家都跑了，他还没反应过来呢。他这样的话呢，就是在一个团队之中是个弱者。那其他孩子聪明归聪明，但是还不懂事，就觉得他就是好欺负的人，
Well,
所以
because
就欺负好欺负的。
people may
所以
feel
他就
that
成
he
了
can
受
be
气包。
bullied,
嗯，
and he cannot fend for himself, and that's why he was
所以
bullied in
他这个
school.
叫思觉失调，应该就各种感受都是很模糊的，很模糊的。
And I think for him, his image or his thinking is not clear.
断断续续被干扰，精神不稳定。
对，关键他用的这个词很有意思，叫被干扰，
Well, she says that she had been
被什么干
affected
扰啊？
by what?
是吧？嗯，所以这就没法说了哈。
Well, we are not very clear.
他有别的照片。
Is there other pictures?
可能还是要给孩子多供灯啊，多念佛呀。
Maybe she should chant for the child and maybe offer lights before the Buddhas on behalf of the child.
这个男青年哈，阿彩说的他的儿子这个哈，
So the son.
对，这个孩子从出生就很不容易，你看，然后
This
到
kid,
现在
when he was born, it's not easy for him.
就已经7年了，发病，一直精神就是不稳定，可能也是被不同的声音啊、景象啊所干扰着。
Maybe he has been affected by noise.
好，这个阿彩这个呢，他的这个儿子的情况，因为我感受到，
So
也
for
许
Atai
与过
sons,
去的
I sense that
可能不善良的行为
it got to do
导
with the
致
past
有
unkind
人
actions.
为他的家族可能像做了一
And
些
as a result,
诅咒的事情，
they have been cursed
这样。
by people.
那我呢，就是刚才呢，帮他这个儿
And
子这
just
小朋
now,
友，
I helped
就
the
将
boy
这个诅咒的东西呢，再帮他去掉。
to help to unwind this curse.
但是这个阿才也不容易哈，因
But
为
Atai is not easy.
对他这个，我就没法说了，他这个。如果阿彩在线的话，我们可以通个话。
If Atai is online, maybe we can have a conversation with Atai.
喂，阿彩现在在线吗？
Is Atai
师
online?
傅，
Hello,
你好。
师
Shifu.
傅好，
Hello, Shifu.
哎，师傅好，
好，
哎，我
你好，你好。
是台湾的台中禅堂，
I'm from
好。
Taiwan.
哎，我是平须，
I'm
好。
Pingxi.
你的孩子的情况，你可以说
Can
一
you
说。
say a bit more about your child's
好。
conditions?
就是因为他出生，
Yes, when he was born,
在他的医院发生，
the
而且
incident happened at the
对，我现在
hospital
是医
at
生
birth.
那个缺氧状况是人为的，
The lack of
人为
oxygen
造成
is
的。
caused by human
所以
error.
我现在一直承载这个压力，但是也还好，
And as
就
a result, we
是
felt pressured
这
of
么
that.
几十年来，我们对这个孩子
But
就是
luckily
把他
for
当成一般
us,
孩子在照顾，
we just treat the child as an
那
ordinary child.
也没有特别说要求他一定怎么样。
We didn't want him to achieve
哎，那现在的
anything.
状况是说，
So the condition now
7年前，
is that
比较
7
让我
years ago,
现在很烦心的就是他发病，
he was
那
sick.
在医师他们诊断叫做思觉失调，就是他一直被我看到的状况是他一直被东西干扰。
What I saw
他
is
一
that
直
he
在
was
某个
affected
状态
by
里面，
something, and he
就
was
是
often
也会
in the
笑，
different
就是他好像
state.
觉得很快乐，
He feel very
那有时
happy,
候又
he can
又好
laugh,
像又很生气，
but sometimes he felt
所以
profound
他的情
anger.
绪现在状
And
态
as a
是
result, his
不稳定的。
emotions is very unstable.
那面对他这个
So
状态，
when face him
我也
in
不
that
知道我现在可以
situations,
帮他做些
I'm
什
not
么，
sure what I can
请示
do
师
to
父。
help him, and
感
that's
恩
why
师
I
父。
asked Master.
他的问题，我们往正面去看哈。
Let's take it from it very
如果有可能，
positively. If
带
it's
他念佛
possible
或者
to bring
做
him to chant,
叩头之类的
or
能
he
做
can
吗？
do
可以。
prostrations, can he do? Yes, he
他之
can.
前做大礼拜，
Before
我
that,
陪
he
他
did prostrations,
做了就是
and
发病的2-3年，每天都做。
actually he did after he had
那
the
后来因
sickness, he did
为
for 2,
就是的
3
断掉
years.
了，因为他后
But
来去一个
then
地方，
he went to
就
a
是因为医
place
院有安排
because
他
the
去社区复
hospital
健，
asked him
所以
to
后来
go
这个
to
就
some
就没有。
community
但是这个中间我陆陆续续都帮他
rehabs.
供养啊、点灯，
So he
还
stopped
做这
doing
些，
that.
还有我
But
每天
throughout
都帮他
this
念佛，
period,
每天晚上
I continue to offer lights on his
一直到
behalf,
现在，大概是
and
这
I
样。
also chant for him every day until now. So that's the situation at this stage.
就是最重要的是说，从就是患者的亲人来说，
Most importantly, as a
能够
family
有理性
members
的面
of
对
the patients,
医生
you
啊
need
或者
to
一些特
face
别的
it
人士，
calmly,
就是对
the
孩子的一些
situations
评价。
based on the judgment that people have on him.
对，这个孩子的各种情况确实是弱一些。
Indeed, the child is a bit weak in
对，
all
他身
aspects.
体状况本来就比
Yes,
较弱，
physically
像他的
he's
眼
weak,
睛，他出生
like
这
his
样，他现
eyes,
在
because he lacked
他就是一只眼
oxygen.
睛，
That's why he
那
only
另外一只
left
眼睛
with
看
one
不到。
eye. The other eye is blind, so he couldn't see. He only left
然后
with one
视力
eye.
又 不太好。
His
那
visions
他
is
前一阵
affected.
子，他
And
有
a while
做他自
ago,
己
he
念佛，
he
他自
chanted,
己会知道说
chant,
我要修，
and he
所以
knows
他
that
自
he
己有
want to
做大礼拜。
cultivate.
然
So
后他那
he
时候
also
跟我说，
performed
他觉
prostrations.
得他眼睛
At that
清
point in
晰很
time, he
多这
said
样。
that he
但是
felt
我现在
his
有个
visions
问题
becomes
是，
clearer.
他
But
只
now
要
I have
接
a
触，
questions.
这个是很好。
He
可是接
wants
触
to
完了之后，他有时候又变成，就是好像
he
又有
want to
负
take
的东西在干扰
initiative.
他。
That's good.
他现在
But
站的跟
it
负的，他
seems
完全
that
分
there's
不出
something
来。
negative, the negative energy
他自己
that's
分不出来
intercept him
这个
and affecting
对家
him,
人呢
and
要
he
协助
cannot
他。
distinguish
你像做
between
一
the
段时间
positive
大礼
and
拜之
negative
后，
energy.
因为可
I
能
think
其
as
他的
family
医疗机
members,
构
you
或
have
什
to
么机构
support him.
给他安排了别的事情，
Like he
这
had
样
been
就
doing the
没有持续下
prostrations,
去哈。
and after that, because
对，
of
这也
the
是命运的安排吧。
rehabilitations, and that's why he
对，
couldn't continue with the
事实
prostrations.
上
I
我
think
看
that's
的
got
问
to
题
do
呢，
with fate.
一个是我把
But the
他
questions I
当做一个
see
普
is
通
that
的病
first,
人
I
来
treat
看，
him as a
也
normal
许他能
patient.
够完全康复。
Maybe he can recover
是
completely.
就是但是呢，
But
如果我相信自己的眼睛看到的东
if
西呢，
I believe
其
what I
实也
see,
问题没那么乐观。
actually is not very positive.
就是能够第一个
Firstly,
不是恢复智力，而是保寿命。
it is not about gaining
我看
his
到的部分是这
his
个，
intellectual
这个叫保
ability.
寿。
It's what's important is for
对，
him
第二个
to
呢，保持
maintain his
一个
life,
基本
his
状态，
vitality.
就是往最合理的思考来说，
And let's think
保
of
持
it
一个
from a
基本状
very
态，别出大麻烦就
we
行。
just want him to maintain the normal, a
就
good
是他的生
conditions,
活，
his
就是希望他
life,
生活能
and
够
doesn't have
再正常
major
一些，
major
就是可以正常的
in mis
进行下
mishaps,
去，不要有时候
which
他
means
就
to
是被
allow
干
him to
扰之
continue
后，
his
整个人
life.
好像怎么讲，就好像魂不附体。我
Yeah,
觉得
every
他
time
的
when he was
精
affected
神
by
状
the
态好像
negative
不
energy,
魂
I
不在他
felt
身
that
上，
it seems like his
然后
spirit
就
has is not grounded and left
做
his
出来的
body,
行为情绪也不
and the
好，然后
actions and
甚至于
emotions doesn't
他也
reflect
会仇视
himself.
父母亲啊，
And he
他
also
好像不认识我
he
们两
seems
个人，
doesn't know the
就他
parents, doesn't
情绪来
recognize the
的时
parents.
候，
When he has
他
emotions, he
觉
couldn't
得
recognize his parents.
是我们在害他。
He felt that it's the parents that harm him.
这个我也不知道是什么状
And
态。
I don't really know what exactly that
如
means.
果从就是精神
So
疾
if
病
you
来
look at
说
it from a
精
neuro
神疾病就是这样，
perspective,
就像大家开玩笑
it's
说，
like when we
最
joke,
后精神病院院长最后也变成精神病了。
it's like your
他被最后
psychiatrist
被一些
eventually
病
will
影
also be
了，
affected by
他
mental
就说
health.
月亮是绿色的，
They'll say
月
that,
亮
well,
是
the
绿色的，
moon
内
is
心还
green.
是黑的。他一直都这么说。
If they always
他在
say
这个环
that,
境之中，最后他
in
觉得
that
也有道理，
environment, he may feel that
他
that's
就被
true.
接受了。
So he actually accepted that.
所以这个精神有些状况的
So
朋
people
友
who
呢，
have some mental
他的这个
illness,
行为很多时候
their
是
actions a
和
lot
我
of
们普
time
通人之间
is
有
different
时候就
from
有相
ordinary
反的差异。
people. They will be quite different.
我们认为他在康复中，
We may
但是
feel
他认
that
为
he
呢
is
自己在
recovering,
康复的过程
but
中
in the process of
恢复正常的
recovery,
状态，让他觉得很别扭，
he
就是觉
actually
得
not
不自在。
comfortable with the normal state. That's
但是
not
他
something
在
that he
他的
get
不正
used
常
to.
状态之中，他是自
Actually,
在的。
in the other state of from we view
对。
like it's not
所
good
以他
state,
呢，就
but
是说
for
他的
him,
精神
he
实
feel
际
that
上
it is very
是
comfortable
每
for
个精
him.
神病人不一样，
Because
他的
the
这个精神
people,
是
the
被另
patients
外一
with
个
mental disease
一
react
个东西给
differently.
控制了。
They seems to be
就像我一
controlled by
开始说
external
的，就
party.
好像
And this
被
is like what I
人
said
给
at the
下了某种
beginning.
诅咒
It's
的
like
这
he
个
has been
现象。
cursed before, and the sign that he
这个就
shows
等于跟
indicates that
祖
he has
先
been
是有
cursed.
关系的，
So
是
is it
吗？
because
我
it
觉
got
得
to
是他
do
自
with
己，
ancestor? I feel that it
他
is
自己
him
其次
himself.
呢，
Firstly is himself, and secondly, the people that he harms are also the ancestors and the parents, which is just you and your husband. When you have such a child, you will be tortured. The parents love him the most, but they will be tortured the most. Actually, for him, he doesn't feel the pain. When he's at the mental state, but for the parents, they look at it, they feel the pain, the heartfelt pain. And I guess that's got to do with the karma, the debts that you have with the son. Because you are indebted to him. Is it because you're indebted to him or he's indebted to you? I cannot say very clearly, but there's this intertwined relationships of karmic debts. So Master, I understand this. So Master, so now what can I do to help?
目前来说的话呢，就给这个孩子就是至少每年点上一组灯。
What you can do is that every year you must offer lights. I'm not sure what lights to offer, but your objective is that you want to be peace, so that he'll be peaceful, and you want to extend his life. So this is the minimum you should do that. So in terms of cost, there are some more expensive, there are some not so expensive. You have to do that on a yearly basis. Otherwise, the situation will become worse.
就是一年最少就是师父点几天的还是
So Master, how many days, or is it 49 days? So recently, I did help him for 49 days. I've done 3 sets of the 49 days lights. Is it okay? I think it got to do with your financial abilities. Because for the child, the situations you know best, there's nothing you can do. So what I'm asking, what I hope is that it's not that he regained his intelligence, it's just for him to be peaceful and extend his life. So I think you should, based on your financial capabilities, well, I think at least for a week. So we hope that Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and some Dharma protector will be able to help this child so that he will not be affected by all these negative energies, to enhance the protections around him, to protect him, so that he will not be affected and be worsened as a result. Because for him, any step forward, maybe he will face with life-threatening situations. So Master, for him now, if we do chanting, because he seems to lose his sense, is it still appropriate for him to do chanting, or he should do prostrations, or is there something that he can do personally that helps him? Actually, he's willing to do it himself. Well, if he's willing to do it, when he's between that mental, the state of sense and not sense, well, if he's willing to do, that's the very best. So is it chanting is more beneficial for him, or is it prostration is more beneficial for him? I would say it's chanting plus prostrations. And for him, he cannot close his eyes to do. He has to open his eye to do prostrations and to do chanting. People who have mental disease or mental sickness, they should avoid closing their eyes, because once they close their eyes, they will be in a different state. They will be in different realms. So for parents, it is important to make sure to uphold his spirit so that he always kept a high spirit. Well, I say that parents are indebted to him, because the parents' emotions will affect him. And everything, when the parents object to something that he wants to do, he will reject and he will retaliate, and as a result, the parents are lost. They do not know what to do. So if he's willing to do, if he's willing to chant, if he's willing to do prostrations, try to do with him, or maybe praise him more. It's better than scolding him because his situations, if his conditions is not worsened, you must be very grateful and thankful. So Master, for him in this conditions, because we have relatives far, so for him, is it good for him to go to a place away from parents, or is it better that he should stay close and then be close to the center? Well, for people like him with the mental disease, from depressions or people who have mental disease, all this type of related disease, they are weak. In fact, they are only concerned about their own feelings. Some people, their look, their voice, they will actually affect them and they can have a relapse. So he is not normal. So do you think he will be able to cultivate normally? So if you want to bring him for some event, you don't want to bring him for more than 2 hours. If he's at the center, and when he has such negative energy, when he has this rage and revenge, when he faces Buddhas, he will not be comfortable. So he wants to go, but he cannot stay long. He belongs to such a conditions. You also mentioned another question about whether you want to bring him to a far away place. Well, I think you know him the best. The parents know him best. Let me ask you, did he travel? Has he traveled before? Within Taiwan. Well, Taiwan is the same. Yes. Sometimes when we're younger, we bring him around Taiwan to travel. So say, for example, you go to Taipei, you can go Kaohsiung or you can go Taichung. You meet very some situations where it's not convenient. Yes. Yes. So your child in these conditions, ideally, when he leaves the parents, well, normally he throws tantrums with you, but if he leaves you, maybe he cannot take it. It's unbearable for him. When he's out, even if the parents is with one of the parents is with him, you'll be quite the situations can be quite troublesome. Indeed, because when he's home, sometimes it's not. He has some action that's impolite to my husband, and there are some clashes with my husband, and that's why I have this thought that maybe if you were to leave the house, it would be better. I think I want this to be decided by the parents. Definitely, if the child leave you, it's not good. So what decisions? I'll just leave it to you. However you want to decide, I leave it to you. Thank you, Master. So I will chant and bless the child. Thank you, Master.
谢谢，谢谢，感恩师父。
师傅，我们再往下看下一位网友，他叫娟珍，他是想请师傅帮他看一下他面相中的财运、健康、工作都是否顺利。
Master, the next one is asking about the person can be successful. Well, if you're asking success, it's your question, it's your problems. So it is not easy questions for me whether to determine if you are successful or not. I will not answer such questions. Well, if I tell you that it's not successful, you may say that, well, but I feel I'm very successful. So there is not a very good way to judge what is success.
接下来这个呢，他好像还没有发照片哈，但他这个问题是说，
The next one
师傅
have
好，
no
孩子，
photos,
我的儿子
but he
天生
asked.
就是右眼比左眼小。
The son is naturally the right eye is smaller than the left
还
eyes.
有一个问题呢，就是在右眉的末尾也留下了疤痕。
And the other thing is that at the
右眼
right
本来就比左眼
eye
小，右眉
brow
末尾
at the
有疤
end
疤
towards
痕。
the end there is a scar.
哦，
第三个问题就是在他的大椎
And
的
the
脖
third
子后颈脖
question
这儿哈附近有一个
at
黑痣，也是天生的。
at the
那想请问师傅，这几个明显的现象对他的命运有
at
什
the
么影
back
响吗？
of the
应
spine
该
there's
采取
also a
什么样的
mole.
对应的措施呢？感恩师傅。
Does it help? Does it affect his life?
这个叫大胡。
And this person is Dahu.
好，
Then this question by Dahu.
好，这个大胡提的这个问题呢，这个儿子天生右眼比左眼小
So
啊，就是拿筷子这个
So
手的
basically, if you were to
这一
take a
侧的眼睛
chopsticks, you
哈，
can see that
那
the
我们就
right eyes
从
is
相词来说
smaller
呢，
than the left eyes.
通常是
So from
就
face
是你的
reading,
右侧
if
代表母亲
the right it
啊，
represent
女
the
性
mom,
啊，
the female
或者女性长辈啊，
or the
那
elders,
左
the
侧
female
呢代表
elders,
是男性
and the
或者
left
是
it
父
is
母
the
啊，
husband, is the
或者是
guy
儿子之
or
类
the
的，
son or the
大
parent.
概都是这样的一个传统说
So
法。
that is a traditional way
那
of
你这
saying.
个因为也没提供照片哈，
But because you
如
have
果
no
他两个眼睛的
pictures,
比例，
if the
基
proportions
本是
of the
正
two
常的情况
eyes
下，
is quite
比如说你的右眼比左眼小，你的左他的右眼眉哈也
so
受了伤哈，
the right brow there's
就
some
母亲这边的
injuries.
能量会弱一些，
So it just means
就是
that the
容易
mother's
得病
side
啊，
it is
啊，
weaker,
或者是
maybe can
厄运
fall
缠
sick.
身了，因为眉这个字哈，也叫眉毛啊，那倒霉这个霉也是叫眉，是不是啊？
So
所以眉
eyebrow,
上一旦出了问题，就
once
是
a
倒霉
problem with the brow,
所以
then we'll
对
have
母
bad
亲特别
luck.
不利。
So at the right side, it is
因为
very,
对
it's not
母
good
亲
for
的
the
健
mom.
康啊、寿命啊
Got
等
to
等各
do
方面
with the
不利的
mom's
时候，
health.
那子女能受益吗？
Well, if the mom doesn't have good
这
health,
子女就
is it
受
good
到了
for the
母
child?
亲出状况之后带给孩子的麻烦。
Then when the mom is sick,
还
you
这
will
叫
give
显象
troubles
的
to the
啊，
child.
还有一种叫隐形的。
This
就
is
说
what's
母亲都
visible.
健在，
That's also
健在
invisible.
呢，只
The
是说母
parents
亲
are
的运
around.
气弱，体能弱
It just means that the
啊，或
moms
智
has
商弱，
lower
或
level
者
of
是什么都
vitality
不好啊。
or maybe not so
对，那给这
capable,
个孩子也一样带来
and
了
as a
完
result,
全负面的影响。
it will bring
比如说父母
negative,
双方有一个是倒霉的，
it
那
will bring
这个
negativities
孩
to the
子会
child.
好运气吗？
If the parents doesn't have
通
good
常
luck,
运
would
气
it
不太
affect the
好。
child? No, it will not. The child will not have good luck. Usually the fortune is not so
这个
good.
眼睛是心灵的窗户，
So the
啊，
eyes
比
is
如
the
说你的窗户
windows
是不
into
透光的、不
the
透明
heart.
的，
And
就
if
你
it's
开
not
个小
clear,
窗户缝，
if you
那
just
无论
opens
进
a
来的
little
空气，
bit,
还是说你从屋里看外
so
面
maybe
啊，
when
因
you
为
look
小缝
outside,
不能
can
纵
you
观
see
全部
well?
世界。
You will not
那
be
窗户
able
打
to be
大一点，看的世
broad-minded.
界更辽阔嘛。所以你这个，当你的这个眼睛比例，你自己的双眼的比例
So when
有
your
一个
eyes,
小的时
the
候，
proportions
小
one
的
is
这一
smaller
面
than the other,
所代表
the
的就是
smaller
弱，
one
就
it
是这
will
样。所以
represent
母
is
亲偏
weaker.
弱，
So the
眉毛
moms
受
tends to be
伤可能
weaker.
更意味着就
And
是
if the
母亲这边的
eyebrow,
身体会
if the
不
eyebrow
好，
has
或
scars,
者
it
对于
just
这个
means
兄弟
that
姐
the
妹
mom
也会带
is a
来一
bit
些
weaker,
麻烦。
or it may bring some problems to the
这还
siblings.
分他受的伤有多大，
And it
才
also
有一个麻烦。
depends to what extent was the
就大概
injuries.
就是一般的这个面相的规则是这样。
感恩师傅。
Thank you,
还
Master.
有一个问题就是，
So there is
在这
another
个儿子的
question.
就是后颈部这个大椎穴附近
The
有一个黑痣，
There
也
is
是
actually
天
a
生的。
mole
它主要是没有照
at
片，我们看不到这个痣的
at the back
颜
of the
色。
neck
你看一
towards
下
the
那是这
spine.
个
But just that we
对
don't
应
have the
痣的影响。
pictures.
就长在身上的
So the major
或者天生的
mole
疤痕
or
它
some
都是一些命运
scars,
的说法。
it got to do with
在
it.
后背的一
If
些，
it's at the back,
我当然希望是吉祥的
I
啊，
hope it's
因为这
auspicious.
个痣，我提醒过，它是有一些形象的要求。
I remember that
是
I
黑又
tell
亮
you
嘛，
that it must be black and
如果是
bright,
胎记，或者是
or if
颜
it's a
色
birth
灰
mark,
呀、
or if
不
it's
好看的
gray or
这样
not
的痣
good.
呢，如果在你的就是后脖子下面
If
鼓
it's
起来那个
at
骨头那个位置的话，
the back of the neck, the bones at
这
the
样
back,
可能会对这个孩子一生的命运都会受到影响。
maybe it will affect the
这
child.
30多岁之后容易出现严重的健康问题，
After 30s, he will have major health problems.
使他背负着很大的麻烦。
That's why he has to carry a major trouble.
所以就看那个痣的那个颜色，
So it really depends on the
形状
colors
怎么
and
样。
the shape.
是这个网友现在还没写，他如果在线可以再补充啊。
He didn't
师
say.
傅讲到这个，我有印象，有一次印象中，
I
好像看
remember
见一个
Master
海
says
报，
that
海报上有一个女模特儿啊，
there was
对，
a
然后长得也挺
there
漂
was
亮
a
的，
flyer,
可是在
there
她
was
的
a
喉
model,
咙，
and she was quite pretty.
好，你再说。
对，就说到这个身上的痣哈，就是我有一次看到一个挺大的一个广告海报，
So it was a
海报上
flyer,
有一个女士，
and
长
there
得也
was
是
a
蛮好看的，
model.
可
She
是
looks
在她
quite
的喉咙
pretty,
正中的
but
这个喉
at
咙
the
上
throat, at the
是有一
center
颗
of
黑
the
痣。
throat, there is a dark
是个
mole.
出名的明星嘛？
It is a
我就是说不出来
model.
这叫什么名字，但
I
是
just
她
can't
是做
remember
一个
the
衣服的
name,
广告，贴的也挺大的啊。
but it
在喉
was
咙上。
it was at the
眉
throat,
毛上
a
正中
mole.
那个地方，哎，一颗还挺明显的，不是凸起，但是很明显的。
It's a very obvious mole.
这种有什么说法？是
Is there a certain saying for that?
这个我不是很了解，
I
我
don't
只能
really know
猜
very
测
well. I
啊。
can only guess.
在这个脖子上
So at
的一些
the throat area, the neck
特殊
area,
的纹路、
if there are certain
疤痕，
scars
还有痣，
or
就
mole
在咽喉和胸前的哈，
at the chest or the throat
也
area,
许是有上天给你做了个吉祥的痣，
maybe it's
是一个是也
auspicious.
是分颜色
It also
状态
depends on the
是不是
color,
好的。
whether it's
这是第一
auspicious or
第二个
not.
第二个，也许是前一世
Maybe
是
it's the
横
past
死
life.
他的死亡
The
就是从
death
咽喉那个点那儿出现，
Is at the
比
throat
如被人
area.
开枪打死啊，
Maybe he was
被人
shot to
背
death.
手捅了。你记得那个中国海南省
You
有
remember
一个
the
小伙子
Hainan
吗？
Islands?
记
There's
得
a
是
young,
姓唐还是叫什么？
there's a gentleman, a young
是吧？
gentleman. Is it Tang?
那个在网
Surname
上很
Tang?
出名嘛哈。
It was very
你记得
fa-
他的
popular.
前
It
世，
was very
他很有
famous
意思的是
on the
，3岁
internet.
的小孩子，
It was a 3 years
他
old.
生的这个海南省的某一个
He was born
某一个
in
村庄哈。
into a village in Hainan
他
Island.
到了3岁会说话的时候，
When
一直他
he
说我
started
要
to
我的孩
speak
子，
at 3 years old,
我的
he kept talking
不是
about
我的女朋友，
his girlfriend,
而且后来呢，带着他
and
这一世
he
的爸爸
brought the
妈妈
parents of this life
去到他那个村子里
to
找，
go to the
那
other
村里人
village
他
to
都
look
叫
for the
他名字
girlfriend,
来，
and he could
但
even
是小
name
孩
them.
根本没到过这个村
But
子，而
actually,
且他们
this
两个地
child
方的
has
方言
never
是
been
不一
there,
样，
and
他
the
用他
two
当地的这
villages
个
speak different
就前世
dialects,
的这个村里的方言，而又说出了他们的名字，
and was
还
able
找
to
到了
say
一
the
个
name
女的，就
of
是说
these
这就是我女
people,
朋友。
and he found the lady and said, "That's my girlfriend."
是个小孩子，
Yes, it's a child.
20多岁了。
And
对，20、30岁吧。完了之后呢，这个转世人这个小唐呢，他的这个肋部，
this Xiao Tang,
这个胸肋部
his chest at the
有一
chest,
个就是肋侧面哈，就对着肝脏那个区域，
facing
有
the
一个用刀
around the
捅的
liver,
疤痕。
there is
就
a
他
mark,
这
a
一世的小
scar.
孩啊，天生的，
It is natural, like
结果
a
他对了一
knife
下，
scar.
前一世
And
到那个公安派出所去查
He
哈，
went to check
So,
with the
那一
police
世
of
前一世的
officer of the
这个
last
小唐
village.
在
They
他们
found
家
that
做
the
一个
Xiao
人
Tang
打
from
扮
the
结
last
果被对
in
方
the
一个
last
小伙子
life
心一狠，这个捅了一刀，
he was
结果
killed.
失血过多就死了。
He was killed by someone
被
from
捅
the
死的位
village,
置正是这一世的
and the
这个
place
小孩
that
是
the
这个
knife
小唐的转世，
cut through his body was exactly the spot where this current Xiao Tang, the 3 years old guy, was a birthmark. So the scar was quite long. It is not one single mole, it was actually a scar. And that's why if at chest or at the neck area, there's a special marking. It is how they died in their past life. It's very unique, Master. We have already reborn, but it's being brought, the birthmark is brought from something that happens from the past life. It doesn't mean all signs will be captured in the past life, but sometimes some wrinkles, some scars, or some birthmarks, there's some specific saying. It really depends on how we're able to read it. If we read it, there's something, some sign. I remember yesterday I saw a young girl, probably not 30 years old. There is a birthmark at the below of the face. A big portion, like a scar. It's like 10 centimeter. Huge part. It's like a huge plaster pasted. Of course, it's not a whole rectangle. It's just like a irregular shaped. There's also a saying. When I see it, I think how she died in her past life. When I see her, I do not know her, but it was just a passerby. I just suddenly how she died in the past life. She was shot, and from the back, and it shot through the face. It sounds really scary. But this birthmark, nobody can heal. You can't do anything to it. So it's difficult for her to find a boyfriend.
面相里面真的是不光看到了今世的命运，还前世是怎样的。
So face reading not need to look at your current life, but also your past life, especially those that died unnaturally. Some, the spirits can retain the memories. They didn't go through, they actually go through a shortcut to be reborn. And as a result, they still have memories of their past life. But as they grow up, especially when they pass 12 years old, such images or memories of past life will start to fade. If you're online and if you want to express or if you want to communicate, you can. If you're around and if you like to communicate, you can turn on the mic. Is Dahu around? If you are, you want to click on the mic so that you can speak. So let's continue the chat.
那我们再看一位网友的问题哈，师傅。那这个好像没有发照片，我来读一下他的问题。他说：“师傅好。
So the question is, hello, master.
或者其他原因留下了疤痕。那后期呢，通过一些美容技术补救。
If there are some scars, and if we go for some
眼睛靠近眉毛，因为之前有生脓包感染，
aesthetic
开刀
surgery,
因为手术愈
is it
合
okay?
后就生不回来了。乍看之下是断眉的，这算不算破相？现在已经纹眉了，不知道会不会能够补救？”
那大家说这算不算
So
破相啊？
went for some aesthetic surgery and affected the eyebrow,
现在说的眉毛
and
哈
seems to be there are some scars there. Would it affect it?
但是
the
现
fate?
象来说，确实是有断开的。
Well, if you look at the
就是你视觉上看的时候
physically, if
就
you look
断
at
开
it,
了，
it
这是
seems to
断开
have a break.
而并不
Then
是整个
it
肉
will
断开
affect
了哈，
the
是眉
fate.
毛
It just
视觉
means
上来说
that
是断开的，那就
visually
叫
the
断眉。
eyebrow is
对，就是
uneven,
不
it's
好。
not even. So
麻
it's
烦就来了。
it's not good. So you will have trouble.
他就是说他有纹了，把眉毛
But
纹回去。
what if she went
能不
for
能补
some?
救一点运气，师傅？
就有点说我这个腿啊受伤了，骨折了哈，
It
就
is
现在
just
有了
like you
新技
have
术，
some
甚至那个旧腿都锯了半截哈，
you
你
have
跟人家
you
腿跑得一
amputate
样
your
快，
legs,
这个时候
and
跑得
now
一
you
样快，
fix
但毕
with
竟是假
some
腿哈。
you fix with
就是说
some
你这个里头出了问题，你用外在的方式，用
you
画
have
呀、
you
涂
have
抹
a
呀，
metal leg
或者手
metal
术的
plate
方式
to
给它再
replace
连
the
接起来
amputated
的时候，
parts.
但
Although you
是
can still run,
命相
but
的， 它真实的
visually
东西
it
就
is
是断
still
开了，
you're still you have a leg you had a
断
leg
开了就是
amputated.
断开的命运。
So as a result,
那
your
把
fate
它
will be
用这种
affected.
手术啊、图画的方式画了之后，是不是有帮助呢？我觉得可能会有点帮助。
So if you were to draw it back
在几年前
through
呢，
surgery,
应
would
该
that
至少
is that
6、7
helpful?
年
Possible.
前。
6-7 years
那
ago,
当时呢，中国有个电影冯小刚拍的哈，
during that time there was a
对，
movie
当
by
时呢
Feng
里头我
Xiaogang.
不说电影名字了
I'll
哈，
not say the
有个
movie's
年轻的
name.
帅哥男明星，
There is a
哎，
young
那他那个眉
gentleman.
毛呢，乍一看以为是断眉哈，
His eyebrow,
就
if you look
是
at it, it
其实
seems
可
to
能是
have
用
broken
推
the
剪
brow.
子之类的，就把这个眉毛呢，不知怎么耍酷了，
I don't
就
know
把
what
眉
he
毛
did.
横切的切了一刀。
There was a
当然
cut
不是
at the
说割开
eyebrow.
肉，他把这个眉毛那一段肯定用推子给切断了。是真是不懂啊！这耍酷的话，你这个弄得这样对你不好啊。
He did know that. He
当
just
时我
want to
都
be cool.
反正
to
心里
do
就
that.
是就觉得有点不舒服。
But in my heart, I
怕他出
wasn't
事儿。
very
但是几年之后果
comfortable,
然
and
就
I
出
think
事
that he may have problem next time.
现在不演电影了，
And a few years
不知
later,
是
he had
给
some
给
mishaps.
抓了还是怎么弄的？
Not
反
exactly
正
sure what happens
登
to
不上
him,
影坛了。
but he's no
哎
longer in the show
对，就是你
business.
这个年轻他不懂嘛，
So he was
很多人
young,
说
and he
这
didn't know.
个不是很多人了，我都不知道他为啥非得切那一下子。
I do not know
你
why
耍
he want to
酷
do that.
很多鼻子
Just
上、耳
want to
朵
be
上多
cool.
打了几个眼
Like
儿，
some
弄了几
try to
个
have
金环
some,
银环挂上
they want
去，
to have more
这个还
earrings.
不少见。
Well,
这把
we
眉
have
毛
seen
直
it
接
a
切
lot.
断了弄的，
But
这个
to
有点
actually
是
cut the
不太
eyebrow,
懂，
I think he doesn't know about fate.
因为他不懂，所以才这么做。
Because he doesn't know,
但
and
是
that's why
后
he
头
did that.
他的结局不吉祥啊。
But later on, he was not
我认为几
auspicious.
乎他这20年以内不可能再演得了
I
电影
think there's no way that he can go back to the show
就是这样
business and
所以
act
这种
again.
麻烦呢，我觉得除了他的还有别的相上的一些问题之外，那这个切了个断眉，这个真是个问题。
So I think that is itself is a major problem for him.
断掉。
对这个眉，就是我们五官哈，在命理当中来说，每一个官都是很重要的。就是
So
由这五
our
大项来
features are
组成
all
了
very
你一个
important.
吉祥的人生。
Because
五
we
大
need
项
all the
哈
features to
这五
come
行
together, the
五
five
行之中就
features,
像汽车
to
四个轱
have
辘，就有个
to
轱
have
辘
a
突然
good
拐了，
fortunes.
这轱辘就掉了，这汽车是跑得还很好，当然也分前轱辘还是后轱辘是吧？但是掉了一个轱
If you
辘，
lost
这
one
个
of it, it's
车
like a car.
它
Can
跑
you
的时候
function well?
问题一定是
No. If its the
是潜
features
在
are
的。
not
所以我
are
们
not
这个
there,
那个五
your
官
car will
支
be
撑了人类
affected.
的这个
And that's why our
命运
features
啊
are the same.
对，那有
It
一个
support
官
our life.
当出了差
If
错
one
之
of the
后，
features
就
has
就
some
影响到
problems,
你的什么 比如说婚姻呐、
It will
财
affect
富啊、
our,
子女
our
啊、
life. Maybe
基本
it's
健康啊、
our
运气
marriage,
呀、
our
都会受到影响。
fortunes, our career, our children. So one
所
aspect
以
will
就
be
是
affected.
表面上做了一些手术和
So
化
although
疗
you
等
may
等
go
这
for
些
some
现象，说
surgeries,
只能说会起一点儿作用，
maybe it will affect, it will have some
但是起
positive
不了根
impact,
本的作用。
but it will not able
除非
to
有功德。
change it
我
fundamentally
曾经
unless they
认
have
识的一个
merits.
小男孩哈，这个说应该有10几年了。
There is a child
这
about
个
10
小
over
男孩
years ago.
是
This boy,
对磕伤的，
he
就
injured.
是那个冰雪天，
It was
结
a
果摔了
winter
个
time.
一脚哈，
He
摔
fell
一脚，他
down.
当时那个手啊插在那个棉袄兜里头。
And during
冬
that
天
time,
嘛，
it was
啪
winter.
的一脚摔下去的时候啊，手没法撑，
He couldn't
就
support
直
the
接
body.
磕到额头上去了，
He affected
就
his
把这个眉
forehead,
毛那儿磕烂了。
and his
就磕烂
eyebrow
了。
was affected.
哎，
He-
所以到医院一缝合，这个
And
眉毛和眼
the
睛中间
eyebrow,
就是个疤
he had
啊，缝
to
了
go
好几
for-
针，啊，就是个疤拉型的。
there was a scar at the
所以那
eyebrow.
个时候就是通过他妈妈认识我之
He had a
后，
few stitches
哎
and caused a scar at the
这怎
eyebrow.
么办呢？我说这怎么办呢？
So the
我们又
mom
不是
asked
这个医
me,
生，
what should I
那医
do?
生给你缝合，我
I
现在
say,
也早已经好了。
I'm not a
但是这个
doctor.
疤一直在那里，
But although the
那
doctor
怎么
stitched
办
it
呢？多
back,
做功德。
but the
这
eyebrow
小
has
孩
been
挺好，
affected.
不过他布置作
So
业，
I told
一
him
个是
that
一
you
星
have
期
to
哈，至少念3个小
accumulate
时的佛，
merits. And I said that
他
you
就
have
每
to
天念
chant.
差不多40分钟。
You have to chant at least 40 minutes every day, every morning to do
那么
chanting.
第二个呢，这个他妈呢，也是到禅堂啊
The moms
做功德，做义工。
also becomes a volunteer to accumulate
我
merits.
记得是1年多之后，
I think after 1
1
year,
年多之后，他妈有一天非常快乐的把他儿子带来了，说
The
他
mom
今
brought
天
the
上学
son
哈，去澡堂已经跑了，我没注意。说今天照毕业照，
and said that
完了之
today
后怎么出
they
来这个
have
眉毛
a
好了嘞？
he took
那
a
个疤都
pictures,
不
a
见了。
graduation pictures,
原来就是眉毛那都磕
and
烂了，
the
就
eyebrow,
没
the
有
scar
联系性了，对不对？
disappears.
那个疤很明显。现在呢，这1年下来之后啊，那
But
个疤
after
也不
years
见
of
了，眉毛
doing
也长好。
After a year, the
啊
eyebrow
这
is
是我见
back
过
to
经过
normal.
修行自然好的
This is something they've
变好
seen
了
through
完全变
cultivations.
好的
The features
脸上的
became
疤痕和这个眉毛显示，
fine. The
那他的
eyebrow
命运
became
就回来
fine.
了，好运就回来了，
And the good luck's gonna
所
come
以
back to
很顺利
him.
考上大学，还是不错。
And he
现在
managed to
结婚
go
生
to
子了，
good
工作
universities.
很好，做
And he
电脑
now
工
has a
作
good
啊。
jobs and he worked in the
对，
computer
那
science
么但是如果
industries.
很多人他不坚持，
But if
你看
people
台
are
湾
not
这个阿凯他
persistent,
那个孩子
like the
情
Arts
况
High Sons,
稍稍重一点，那这因为他本身的配合度就不够嘛，
because he doesn't
所以一会儿一
cooperate.
犯病就换了另外
And
一个
every
人格，
time when he,
自己说
the
啥都不听。
when the illness
所
struck,
以
he
那
became
个不太
a
容易
different
哈。
person.
如果我们
So
没
it's
有
not
这
easy
个
for him.
精神的问题的话，
So if you
就
don't
只
have
是脸
mental
上有疤
disease,
啊，
it's just that
或
you
者
have some
眉毛出
scars
现了一些问题的话，
or eyebrow
我
has
觉
some
得一
problem.
个是积极治疗，
I
啊，
think
该
first
看
you
医
try
生看医
to
生。
seek
那么
a
第二个
medical
呢，如果医生
treatment.
实在没有办法，
And if the
再来
doctors
配
can't
合一
help
些
you,
修行的方法，
you can
说
try
不定会起作用。
cultivations.
我
Maybe
只能说不定，因为
cultivations
你
may
已
help
经没有
you.
办法了，
Why do I
大家
say
走投
that?
无路
Because you have no way
很
out.
多到菩提禅修找我
A
们
lot
来
of
学
people,
习，
when they come to
不
Bodhi
是你爱修
meditations,
行，是因为
it's
有
not
病
because
是
they
不
love
是？所以
motivation.
大家
It's
真
not that
走
they
投无
love
路的时
to
候，可以到我
cultivate.
们这儿来
It's
修一下，
because they have a
说不定
specific
就是这个
problems that they
面
need
相
help.
本身也会发生改
Maybe
变，
as a result of their
还有面相
cultivation,
之
their
中那个
features
不
will
足的部
change.
分可能会得到一个改变
And
和
different
弥补，
parts of the face will start
是
to
吧？
change.
就比如说那个，比如说太阳穴比较低吧，就不如高一点好。说你修一修太阳穴就鼓起来了，
For
就使
example,
得你的情感呢、事业可能变得更好。
you want
对，
some
那
part
你
to
要
be
不修
more
的话，
evened
你只能说
rather
又不
than
会
dented
处理婚姻
on the
问题，
face, and
只
maybe
能说
because of
越做
that,
越差
you will have
啊，你的
better
命运也
fortunes,
会越来
you
越
have
差，
better
最后你的
marriage,
婚姻
but
情感生活
otherwise
就
it will
会
affect your
乱掉
marriage.
啊。所以还是学习一下比较好哈。
And that's why it's important to learn.
嗯，
师傅，
哎，
我印象中咱们好像就1、2个月前，我们开一次念佛班，念佛班上有一位韩国的医生啊，牙医。
I think, Master, about a few months ago, we have a chanting class in Korea, and there was a dentist, and he joined the class,
大家分享。
对，哎，他那个眼睛是怎么弄成
and
的？
his eyes becomes normal.
好像没说。
啊，你忘了哈？哦，
He showed me that his eyes is one big and one small, and he shared that he was too shy to say because he's quite old. He is quite he tried to get rid of his eye bag. He went for aesthetic surgeries to remove his eyes bag. But as a result of the surgeries, one of his eyes becomes big, one of his eyes becomes small. So sometimes when you go for surgeries, you may cause harm to other part of the body. Maybe it cause harm to some of your nerves. So although it's a very, very, very small surgery, but any time that you are on the operation table, when you go for ops, then there's always, it carries itself certain risk.
就看看大家还想不想再聊哈。
问题是蛮多的，现在是直播1个半小时多一些。
We have live broadcast for an hour and a half, Master.
有一个叫 Jimmy 的网友，他问师傅说：“师傅好，我小的时候踩单车。”
So Jimmy says that when he was young, cycle, and he injured himself, injured his chin. Is that something that he should? And there was a scar at the chin. Is that something that he should be careful of? He didn't realize this when he was young. He only realized when he became older.
下巴有一个大疤，感觉下巴是有点缺的。
不是你下巴上有疤，自己都不知道啊。
How come you don't even know that you have a scar at the chin? You don't look at yourself in a mirror?
就是人这个面相基本的概念呢，还就分3庭哈。就上头这一段就是眉毛以上
So the forehead at the eyebrow, the forehead, this is the top part.
那眉毛到鼻子尖儿哈，叫中。
And there's one at the nose, is the middle sections, and then there's a lower sections. And the lower sections, it represents your older age. You're after 51 years old, your life after 51 years old. You didn't say exactly where is the scar and how deep and what was the color. So when your chin, you have some problems. What do you think?
大家觉得在下巴上是吧？下巴和额头比的话，下巴就没那么重要了。
So compared to forehead, the chin is not so important, right?
看似也磕个疤呀，有些
So if there are some
除了美观之外，
besides looking good, do you think it will affect your life?
咱们看看网友们怎么评价这件事。
Let's see what people says. Dahu, you want to get online? Yes, it's fine.
大湖上来。你好，你好。
师傅好。
Hello, Master.
大湖哈，你说你的儿子天生是右眼比左眼小。
So you say that your son, the right eyes is smaller than the left?
出生时候就是右眼比左眼小，然后那个左眼是
When he was
很
born,
正常的，右眼呢稍微小，而且单眼皮。
he has a single
那
eyelids
左眼
on
是
one
双眼
eyes.
皮了。
So
哦，对，
the left eyes
哦，
is
一
double
单一双。
eyelids. So you have one single eyelids and one
对。
double eyelids.
然后在念高中时候，
Yes, in
那
high
个男
school,
孩吧，然后跟朋友
he's a guy.
有点矛盾了，他们可能打架了还是咋
They
回事？
fight
那个
with the friends.
右那个眉毛上还留下伤疤了，
And
但
he
是
has
那
a
个疤
scar
痕不大，
at
就
the
那个额
brow.
尾上有点儿。
哦，就是尾，
He
就是
fought
尾
with
巴
his friends.
不是眉毛
He
尾
fought in
梢
school,
啊，
and he
哦，
left
对
the
对，
scars
留
at
下
the
了个小疤。
eyebrow.
哦，
有把眉毛切开吗？
Was it broken?
没有，没动
没有。
过，
No.
没有，
哦，
没有那个，
嗯，
然后他的那个大椎后面
嗯，
也有那个痣，
And
然后
he also
他
has
年龄长
a
大的同时，那个痣也稍微变大
he
一
has a
点了，
mole at his spine.
颜色也不算那么黑，但是还
It's
是
not
黑
very
痣。
黑
dark,
痣。
but it's a dark mole.
哦，
好，
他也参加过3、4师傅的那个青龄人。
He had participated 3 times the youth camps.
好，那这个先说概念哈，就是一个眼睛大，一个眼睛小呢，
So let's
几
talk
乎是
about
每个人的
the
事情。
eyes. One eye is big and one eye
但
is
是
small.
呢，
It's
您讲
common
到
to
的这个他
everyone.
这个左眼右
But
眼
you
之间
talk
的这个
about
比例可能会比较
the
明显。
proportions may be quite obvious
是的。
between the two.
那通常这样是，也是不太好的。
It is actually not so good.
这种
对，师傅以前也讲过。
对这种不好的话呢，可能，第一个对他的运气来说，
First, got to do
本身
with
就会
his
受到影
fortunes.
响。
You affect his fortune.
还有将来对于他的子女也是影响。
And also affect his descendants, his children's.
那么第三个呢，就是
And third,
眼睛这个大小差别比较明显了之后，还容易造成生命的危险。
and if it's too obvious, it will
就
also
是
cause
容易出横事。
is higher chance to have mishaps.
所以相学你一旦是知道了之后呢，就是不敢开玩笑了，就是说，
And once you know it, you will not
非
take
常紧张的。
it as a joke.
所以我在
You'll be very
有时候
serious
和
about
人接
it.
触或是看一个
So
电影电视
sometimes
剧的
when
时
I
候，
watch
有
the
时候我都为这个
TVs,
演员紧张。
I will worry
这
for
个相貌这
the
么差，
I will worry
演
for the
技
actor
啊，就怕他哪一天出了事儿。
because
那
his
有
look
的
is
我
not
担
so
心的没出事儿，
perfect.
有的担心的真出事儿。像我
Some
刚才讲到，
I worried
像
and
刚
something
演
did
练的一个
happens to
青
them,
年男
like what
青
I
年
shared
就是这样
earlier. The young
对，把
actor,
自己就是理发的时候用推子切断那个
he
眉毛，
purposely
就
used
现在他不能演
he
变。
purposely
对，政府给他一个很
shave
大的
off
处
part
分
of his brow.
对对，
and
所以
affected
这个
his
一
career.
眼大一眼小里头含着很多的
So
内容，
when one eye is big and one eye is
它可
small,
能也代
there
表
are a lot
着
of content.
财富、智慧、
Maybe got
子
to do
女、
with the
运气
children, to go with fortunes,
寿命，哎，
life.
反正很多内容
There are a lot
都
of
也都在
content.
眼睛上，它
Can
有一定的
be
代表性的啊。
It is in the eyes
对，
and can
所
be
以再
read
加
from
上
the
它
eyes.
这个右眼本来就小呢，那右眉毛上还出了个创伤，所以我也相信他的右眼的
And there's
视
a
力也不如
scar
左眼
at the
好
right eyes. So I feel that the right eyes is not so
配镜子时候
clear. The vision is not so
Right.
good as the left.
配眼镜的时候去测光嘛，
Did he go
所以那个
for
验眼科
checking
的
of
这
the
些专
eyes?
家呢，他验每一只眼睛，单
The
另
eye
验，所以
specialists,
经
when they
常
check
就
the
是一个
eyes,
500度，一个
maybe there are
50度
some
都
it's
是可能
like
有差别很
it's
大。
possible to have varied degrees
所以呢，
between the
你
two
这
eyes.
个孩子的这个大小眼问题呢，其实是他的眼部的，从遗传学来说，眼部的这一块儿的，就是他的右眼的这个基因，不一定叫突变，这个基因这个遗传这个位置，没有那么好。
So for your son, in terms of his heredity, the right eye's
再深
portion
入
is
一
not
些
so
说的
good.
话呢，
If we were to dig
他的母
deeper,
亲就是您本
the
人，
mom, which is
或者他
yourself,
的奶奶，
or his
或者他的
grandmother,
奶奶这里，因为某种原因， 给这个孩子留下来的功德不够，
didn't have enough
再加上他
merits
自
for
己
the
的功德
child,
不够，
and he
所以
lacks
才导
enough
致了
merits.
他不光是大小眼，
And
眉毛
that's
还
why
受伤，那么视
he
力天
injured,
生
he has
就
these
不如
scars at the
左眼。
eyebrow, and that's why he's not as good as
那这个
his left eyes.
其
His
实
vision
在
is not
如
as
果
good as his
在
left eyes.
某些政府研究的时候，都是有点残疾了，这个眼睛都算是几级
In
残疾
fact,
的
he
一个
can
状
be
态。
considered to
是
be
这样的
visually
哈，
impaired
所以 他
if he
的
go for a checked
他
up.
的这个人生的运气是很受影
So
响。
it will affect his life
嗯，
as a result.
那我们应该采取什么样的
So
避
what
孕
can we
措施呢？
do?
师傅，这着急人了。
我会送你，现在邮寄不了哈，你们邮寄不了。
也可以。
这样子，到时候，我这边来帮你吧，帮这个孩子，
I'll help you and the
对
child.
他的这个眼睛和智
Hopefully
商
will
还有
help
这个运
him
气
with
有
his
所帮助，
intelligence
好
and
吧？
with his fate. We'll have some
感恩师傅
positivities.
了，
Thank you, Master.
感恩。
所以就是让大家也知道一下哈，这个大小眼，以及你这跟着连这个眉毛都一起受伤，这个
So
绝对
just
不是巧
everybody
合。
knows that when
是
you
一种
have
必然
one
性。
eye big and one eye small, and then your
所以
eyebrow
呢，
has injuries,
在
it is quite definite this thing will happen. It's bad for the fortune, bad for the luck.
这个孩子大概的年龄能告诉我吗？
What's the age of the child?
他属兔的27，虚
He's
岁27。
27. He's born the year of rabbit.
他22年毕业以后，只是
啊，
马上参加工作了。
好的好的，那这样他凡是出门，身上一定要带着一个吉祥的东西挂在
He
身上。
needs to have something auspicious with him all the time.
都带着师傅的八宝铃钟了。
好的。
Yes, he has
还
the
有呢，
eight
最好
auspicious
呢，
treasure
无论在哪
beads.
里哈，请一尊菩萨像也挂在脖子上。
And have a Buddha's image or Bodhisattva
我
image and
听那个
let him carries with him.
对，请过那个透明的那个
对，因
观世
为
音菩萨。
对对对，因为这个我还会担心他这个有一些交通风险的事情。
Because I also worry that he has some accidents,
对，
road
这个要
prone
注
to
意。
road accidents.
再者就是明年犯太岁哈，
And next year, he will clashes with Tai Sui.
所以犯太岁的话也身上多带一些东西。
So try to wear
反
more
正内
things
衣
with
里
him.
头经常多穿一些红色的。
Try to wear red underwears.
明年吗？
对，
从现在。
Next year,
很多事儿不捅破就不行，一捅破就来事儿。所以现在说了之后，从现在开始做。
so from now on, start to do
知
that.
道了，师傅。
好，那么大小眼的人呢，还有一个思维模式哈，容易就是叫眼高手低那个词是吧？就是讲的特别好，但是付诸行动的时候比较弱。
So a lot of
对，
time
这
when
一
you have
点
one
的
eye
话
big
呢
and one eye
就是
small,
大小眼的朋友呢，
they
就是你
lack
要学会
deliveries.
你要去设计一件事情的时候，首先它的是合理性，再之后再走向具体去实行性啊。
So you
要
want
不
to
然的话，
implement
就是你
something, you must have
想
a
的这些
plan
事情
and
根本
then
就
you
不
want
靠
to be
谱，
able
都
to
不可能实现的
implement
事
it.
情，
But a lot of
是吧？
time they
所
are
以的
pie
话
in the
就容
sky,
易
so they are not
容易
very
做到，就是
realistic.
说我说了，但是我做不到。
So they are
所
not
以你
able to
给自己
accomplish
的
what they set out.
做人做事的这些目标的时候，要毕竟比较现实一些
And
比较
that's why you
好
want to be more
不要让
practical.
人感觉的说你只说不做，
You don't want
或者
people
你
to
说
feel
了做
that
不
you
到
are
所以
someone
要
that
注意
make
这个。
empty promises. You do not deliver what you promise.
因为他两个眼睛大小不一样，他的思维不平衡，
Because one
他的
eye
思
is
维
big
容
and
易
one
走
eye
向一个
small,
极
and
端。
that's why he can be
包括
extremes
一
in
个
his
腿长一个
actions,
腿短
even
的
in
人
his
也一样。
thoughts. And the
他走
same
路
as
经
for
常
people who
扭
have
着
one
身子
leg
走路
long
的
and
人，
one
他
leg short.
容易走向极端思维。就是肢体的长度和眼睛大小的长度也有类似之处哈。这有些人
So
就
there are
是一
some
个左腿
similarities
长右腿
in
短之
terms
类
of the
的，
physical
他走路
features
的时候
and the
就会
mental
往一面
state.
晃得多，这样他思维方式就会比较偏激。
So they can be quite extremes in their
大小
thought.
眼的人比这个还更
People
严
who
重。
have one eye is big and small, their conditions is worst.
知道了，师傅。
行了，
Thank you,
我
Master.
会帮你的孩子，好吧
I？will have a child.
哎呀，太感恩师傅了。
Thank you,
我
Master.
们也多做功德，师傅。
好的，好，祝你们全家吉祥快
Wishing you
乐。
auspiciousness.
收到，感恩师傅，
佛菩萨
Receive.
护佑。
Thank you, Master. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas will protect you.
感恩师傅。
Thank you, Master.
好，今天呢，我们聊了挺多
So
哈，
today we have covered quite a vast
就是
aspect.
连的这个内容啊，我就捡着尽量好回答的。对，还有一个，他这是啥呀？这名字叫啥？啊 ？Catherine 用 Catherine 说，师傅，
Catherine
弟弟左脸上有2颗痣，
The
左脸上有
brother
2颗
has
痣
2 more
啊，
on the
会
left side.
影响命运吗？
Would it affect
还
the
有谁啊？
fate? That's from
这个
Catherine.
是他。
哥哥，这个是弟弟，这是
哦
妈妈，
还有一个哥哥，一个弟弟。哦，这哥哥就半路把人给叫醒了啊，让他说个光着膀子。祈请师傅，我的儿子的鼻子下方有一道疤。
Master, the son's nose at the
命运吗？
base has a
这
scar.
个所有
Would it
的
affect
就是
life, his
除了
fate?
天生的之外，哈，完是超出正常的，这个在脸上的有疤呀，
Anything that
多长
has
的痣
scars
长
on
的
the
猴子
face
啊
or more,
或者长的疮啊等等的，都会影响你的运气和
it
健
will
康。
affect your health and fortune.
像这个Catherine 这个她的这个是大
So
孩子吧？
for Catherine case,
先说大孩子的，
the elder son,
大孩子的这个，他是上嘴唇，
the lips,
上
upper
嘴唇这
lips,
个地方呢有一道有点半倾斜的一个疤，就好像
there
用
is
小刀
a
刮伤了一样。
there is a scar.
这个都是问题。
So that itself is a problem.
就是我看这个大孩子的这个，他的脾气啊比较大，
I think the elder sons have
脾气
short
比较大
tempered.
要非常注意哈，你的行为呢，还是要就把这个脾气要收敛一下。
You must be careful and of your
我会
actions.
担心的是，
What I worry
我会
is
担心的引来刑法官司，
there may be some litigations.
就让这个
Risk
孩
of
子呢自己呢
litigations.
就是将来哈出气儿不顺畅。
So it will
他正
affect
好
his
在这个
life
鼻子下头这一
because
侧
it's at the base of the nose.
所以他这种感觉会产生这种情绪的这种冲撞的感觉，
It will have emotions,
所以
clashes,
和父亲之间是冲撞的。
and he will clash with his father.
还有就是可能意味着他的下腹部
It's also his lower
会出现一个
abdomen,
健康的稍
will
微严
have
重的问题。
a health problem.
这位网友，你们家是有3个孩子吗？
So you have 3 children at home or 4 children at home.
所以这位哥哥呢，
So
就
the
是注意
brother,
这个
elder
脾气
brother, you want to manage your own temper.
天生的这个冲突。但这个嘴上这个疤，我就讲这么多。这些化解的方法呢，再看看有没有比较好的美容的方法，有没有这个去疤的？网上
Well,
经常
what you
我
can
记
do
得
is that
可能
you
年
can
前
look
我记
for
得
some
就
that
是
can
说
help
网
to
上卖
remove
什么祛
scars.
疤灵
I
什么
think
消
last
疤水
time
哈，
there is
有人
some
说抹上之
online,
后
they
很快
have
那个疤就
some
消失了。
liquid that
我
can
觉得也
remove
许有吧
scars.
如果有的
Maybe
话，最
it
好能
helps.
你脸
If
上的
there
这个
are,
疤的东西，
you just
如
want
果
to
能给
use
它
it
取
to
消
get
掉是
rid
最
of
好
the
的。
scars.
如果有的话，就会形成障碍。
Otherwise, it can become a
对，
hindrance
这
for
个孩
you.
子的问题就这样， 还有他那个小孩
And
小儿
the
子
younger
啊，对
child,
的，
the younger son,
2个痣，这个小儿子
it
的
has
个
two
性会
more.
好一些，
The younger son will have a better personality.
他这个痣不是特别明显。
The mole is not very obvious.
好，这个小儿子是脸上会带一些财富相，我看大儿子身上也有吧。
So they have some wealth. I see
大
that
儿
in
子
the
身上
elder
也带
son
一个
as
财富
well.
相哈，这个小儿子身上也是带一个，因为没戴眼镜嘛，更强烈的一个财富相。
He didn't wear glasses, so he has quite a strong wealth sign.
这个财富相是祖上传下来的，应
And
该
that is from
可
the
能不是爸
ancestors.
爸的，是
Maybe not from
可
the
能是爷爷
father,
那一代传
maybe
下来的
from the
祖业的东西。
grandparents.
这个小儿子能得到一些啊，
So
可能与
the
房
child
产
can
啊什么
receive
相关
something,
的。
maybe some real estate or some inheritance.
这个小儿子也会有一些钱和权力的感觉，
He will have some money and fame as well.
因为这个痣长在颧骨上，尤其是男生哈，
Because the mole is
会
at
增加
the
这个
cheekbones,
男生的权力呀、威
it will
望啊、钱
enhance
财呀
his
这样
fame
的运势。
and his fortune in that aspect.
对，这个小儿子这个相还柔和一
The
些，
younger
柔
son
和一些就能
is
成就
more
事业，
gentle
容易成就。
and it's easier for
这个
him
脾
to
气大一
accomplish
些呢，也能
himself.
成就事业，
Well,
但
the
是容
elder
易暴喜
son,
暴落。
he,
所以呢，
although
还是要
he
增
is
加
more
修养，
hot-tempered,
把脾气
there is
管好。
also be
将
able
来
to
呢，你
do
成为
that,
一
but
个
he
真
have to
正的
manage his
这个有
own
智慧的富
emotions
人
so that he
啊。
can
你
become a
钱到了你的
wise,
手呢，你就
rich
真正
person.
成为富人，不
When
要
you have the money, you
说
can be a wealthy
去年挣
person.
的钱明年就消失啊，不要
So
那
you
样。
do not
所以
want to
要
lose your money,
这
whatever
个
you have earned last
宰
year
相肚
disappear
里能
next year.
撑船哈。
You want to
要
be
学
more
会呢，
broad-minded.
人和人之间
You
的
must
翻脸呢
learn
都是忍不住，是吧？
to
他
understand
骂
that
我
the
了，我
reason
忍不
why
住；他
people
骗我，我忍不住，我动手了哈，就是因为忍不住，惹出很多是
you
非。
must be able to
所以呢，
contain
青年
yourself,
人注
contain
意
your
这
temper,
个把好自己的情绪啊，
manage your
让自己
emotion
的面
well
相呢变得更加圆
so
融
that
啊，
you'll be more,
更慈眉
you
善
have a
目的人
better
容易发财。
personalities
嗯，
and more gentle and kinder.
所以这个小儿子脸上这2个点呢，就可以保留着。
So
不
this
动
two mole, you can keep it maintained. You don't have to get rid of it.
行了，你的问题我回答完了。
So I've answered your questions.
嗯。看还有什么问题的吗？如果没有了，今天咱们就会聊到这儿了哈。
If there are no further questions, we'll chat
好的，
until
今
here.
天就是又是一次新的尝试哈。
So today is
大
also
家
a
这样
new
聊个天。
experience, new trial.
希望我们这样聊天呢，都会增加大家对面相知识的
So I hope that
这个
through
更
our
深一
chat,
步的一
you
些
have a
理
deeper
解。
understanding of face
就
reading.
是什么命就有什么相，
So your fate is really
就是什么样
dependent
的
on your
命运就有什
physical
么样的
look
相，
as well.
有什么样的相呢，就有什么样的命运。
So they are all interrelated.
那所以
Your
好好
life
修
and
行，
your face readings
好
are
好多
all
做善事。
interrelated. So it's important to cultivate
还有一个呢，
diligently
比如说
and to
你
accumulate
读
more
到
virtues.
高中毕业就不读了，
If you study until
比
high
如你兄
schools
弟2
and
个吧哈，
you
比如大
you
哥
don't not
读
want
高
to
中毕
further
业
your
不读
studies,
了，
so let's say the
他
elder
面
brother,
相，我是说会解读的人，
for people who
面
can
相之
read
中
it,
就是一看就是说有文化，但是不高
they will be able to
啊。
tell
但是
that
如果读
you
了正牌
didn't
大
study a
学、
lot.
正式大
Or
学
someone who
上了4
studied
年的，那么他的面相
universities,
和这个大哥读了只是高中毕业就完全不一
you
样。
can see that
就
they
是
look
额头
differently.
这一块的饱
Their
满度啊、
forehead,
柔韧度，就
the
一看就差一个
smoothness,
层次。
you can see that there's
那
a
大哥
huge
的成色呢，就
difference.
是窝头啊，高粱窝头。那小弟的那个成色
So
呢，
the eldest and
额头
the
呢就是白
second
面馒
child
头
will be different.
啊，他就有了一个明显的差
They
别。
will have a distinct difference
那
whether
谁
one
将
is
来过得
educated or
更富
not.
裕呢？
Who will
这
be
馒头这里
wealthier?
比窝头就会显得富贵一些，就是这样。所以这个面相
So the look
当中有
itself,
很多种讯息
there
哈。
are many
除了
signs,
命运的安排，
not only
还
how
有
fate
就是
will
你如果
evolve,
读了这么多的书，
but if you
经历这
study
么
so
多的
much,
事，
You experience so much.
各种的表
Your
现，
face
它就产生了一些变化，
will start to
啊，
change,
最后形成了你的命运。
and eventually will becomes your fate.
我呢也是一知半解，
Unfortunate.
大家不用考我。
I
我
mean,
呢
I'm
只
not
是说告
very,
诉
I
你
don't
已
know
知
a
的
lot of,
还
I
是
just
容易
sharing with
说
you
的，
what I know.
好吧？你不要问，你看我最近发
But
财
don't
了吗？
ask too deep,
哎，对，这
because
个
I
很
don't
难
really
讲，
know
我
very
可能
deeply
看
as
不出
well.
来啊。好，今天就沟通这么多。
So that's all we shall communicate today.
那咱们，如果你喜欢的话，如果你觉得你还喜欢
And
再
if you
听
find that you want to
这样的
listen
内容
more
的话
of
呢，
such content,
那你可以留言。
you can
哎，
leave
如果
us
留
a
言多，
message.
觉得
If
有
there are
必
a
要
lot
的
of
话呢，
messages, if
哎，
we feel
那我们
that
就可以
there's a
之后还再
there's a
安排下一次，
necessity,
好
we will
吧？
arrange
哎，
the
你想
next
听练习
sessions.
中的哪个部分，
Or if there
也
is
可以
any
说一说。
specific face
说
reading
你
that you
的
like to
你希
listen,
望了解的你
or
你
what
自
you
己，
like to
就是
know
你
more
自己
about
和你
yourself,
家人的一些
or
问
your
题啊。
family, or questions about
那你
yourself.
可以提前做些准备，
You can
提前就
prepare
把它留言在那里头。那
and
我
you
们
can
呢，
leave a
这
message
些工
there,
作团队呢，就把这些问题啊整理
and
一
we'll
下
be
之后，
able to
我们再
accumulate.
解释说你留言当中的，我们觉得有必要
And
讲的这个
those
内
that we
容
feel that the
啊，
content
来
that needs
这
to
个给你
talk,
分享，好吧？
we will share with you.
好，所以欢迎大家留言，
So
欢迎大家
welcome
写
all
问
to
题，
leave a
我们呢
message,
一起来讨论。
and we can
我说我
discuss
不是
together.
命相的专家，
I'm not
啊，
an
就
expert
是
in face reading,
连半瓶子都不够，哎，
probably
所
not
以呢，
even half
不一定都说的
bottle
都正
full.
确啊。
So what I say may
所
not
以
be
欢迎大家来指导，
fully accurate,
哎，也欢迎大家提问
and we
题。
welcome you to ask questions.
好，今天就到这里吧，祝大家啊长命百岁，
So wishing you all
如意吉
longevities,
祥。
wishing you
我们
auspiciousness.
下次直播
See you
再见。
at the next live broadcast.
“年度盛事来了！菩提禅修马来西亚 PJ 宝林禅堂，一场融合科技与传统的全新节庆体验。药师佛圣诞吉祥庙会热闹登场，光影加持语，沉浸式体验佛光加持，佛光祈福机与佛互动，得佛祝福。西藏文化打卡点，经幡祈愿，带你跨越时空，感受来自雪域高原纯净的祝福。儿童填色比赛。 动漫服装比赛，绽放创意，亲子同行，欢乐无限。文化表演，中华鼓震撼开场，文化舞蹈展现传统之美。欢乐游戏 ，DIY 手作亲子同乐，乐趣无穷。免费赠送艾草锤，需符合条规。幸运抽奖，惊喜不断，最新 iPhone、超大电视机等丰富大奖等你来赢取。 2025年11月15至16日，菩提禅修马来西亚 PJ 宝林禅堂邀您携家人亲友共庆药师佛圣诞，人人得佛光加持，家家得健康吉祥。
全家就觉得很吉祥，很舒适。
Come here and experience it for yourself. I think it's a lot of fun and there's a lot of things to explore.
与您相遇，小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了。 生命的真理，救寻的力